All right. Everybody knows what we're talking about. Welcome to Damon and Ratto. We will get to 49ers in Carolina a little bit later on next hour, but with all that we've gotten from the Golden State Warriors today, a press conference with Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and Steph Curry, we know what the main topic is here this afternoon. And to talk about it, the one time that he could join us today, Ray, is Tim Kawakami, right off the rip. And we appreciate your time, Tim. Thank you for joining us here right in our opening segment. You were down there. You saw what just happened at Chase Center. To me, the biggest takeaway was that Steve Kerr was clearly circling the wagons around Jordan Poole, and he was just stepping on any notion that Jordan Poole did something inappropriate here or has changed his attitude in training camp, and that was the big takeaway in my mind, that Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors seem clearly in Camp Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call there, Damon. I mean, they're reacting to a report. There was a report by a very respected writer who last night tweeted that, some of this was in reaction to Jordan Poole's attitude because he's about to get this new deal. And, hey, that sounded like it could be true. I had certainly not heard that, but the Warriors were actively leaping out. And I believe very much disagree with that. Not just Steve Kerr. Bob Myers made a slight reference to it. I think Steph Curry made a reference to it. They don't believe. Hey, Jordan Poole is, he's a cocky guy. He's somebody you could see maybe annoying people in a scrimmage or in a pickup game or the first team versus second team. That's a real thing. But that doesn't mean, first of all, I think the veterans, most of them kind of like that. Because he's not shrinking, he's stepping up to the challenge. He's trying to get at him. He's somebody they can trust under fire in a tough situation because they've seen it in practice. And secondly, it doesn't mean that he should get punched, right? I mean, I think there are a couple clear lines here where Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, for sure. I had to leave. I wasn't there for Curry. I'm driving down to 49ers, by the way, so I'm multi-sporting it today. But I heard Steph on the radio, your radio station, in fact. And I think the lines are, they love Draymond, they know how important he is, but this was over the line, and if it had anything to do with the contract, they don't think it did, but no one's saying it absolutely for sure wasn't. But if it had something to do with the contract, it wasn't Jordan Poole's fault. I think those were the very, very bright line, points here that they wanted to get across. And I think they did. And we'll see what Jordan Poole and Draymond Green say about this. They both, pointedly were not there today at the presser. Jordan Poole practiced, and Draymond Green showed up for practice, apologized to the team, and then left, or was excused, and whichever you want to say it. But, yes, I think the Jordan Poole factor of this is the main guys on the Warriors are saying this was not his fault. This is on Draymond. And I think that's a good thing to kind of remember going forward as we kind of consider this. As contracts happen or don't happen, as the team plays out as it does, we'll see. But this one, they were saying, is not on Jordan Poole.
Does that preclude, though, the notion that there is sort of some generational tension? If it's not contractual, if it's not out and out, we're both fighting for the same pile of money at the end of the year. Did they do enough to discourage the notion that this is simply a generational argument between a guy whose team this may eventually be and a member of the old guard whose team it currently is?
Really, I was asking about that. I read an interesting column about that last night and complimented it, and then I have to be on the guy's radio show. I have to rethink my priorities here. But
you ought to be ashamed of yourself, quite frankly.
Yeah, I am ashamed of myself. But no, I do think there is. I mean, they've made it as clear as possible. The first team is, the guys who won all the championships. Jordan Poole's won them too, but he's on the second team, and that's Poole, Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman. You can name the guys. Even Chencho's over there, but he's kind of to the side. Like, this is a generational thing, and it's, as Kerr put it, like, you almost never have it. Like, you don't never have a bunch of guys who won a ton of championships together, right? This is rare. 3-4 guys who won all the championships together, and then you have 4, 5, 6 young guys who are all very talented. 22 might be, I think Poole at 22 is the oldest. Wiseman's 21. Bunch of guys are 20. Kuminga, they're all about to turn 20. Like, you just don't ever have a situation like this. So I think there is absolutely a generational, I wouldn't say a schism. There's pressures. There's these young guys know for them to get more playing time, for them to get more money, some of the older guys are going to have to get moved aside, and they're not bashful about, at least a couple of them are not bashful about saying, okay, maybe it's my time, just on the practice court. I'm not saying publicly, I'm not saying that this is their declarations. I'm just saying these things kind of hash out on the practice court where, Jordan Poole maybe gets hot and telling them, listen, it's my time, guys. And maybe he's not exactly literally saying it, but he kind of is. And I do think even when they say it's not contractual related, it might not be you're getting it and I'm not. It's more, yes, it's the pressures of it. They know this thing's coming down. I've written about it several times. This thing's coming down in a year. They have $25 million that they're going to have to shave off next year if they give Poole a big deal this year. And we'll see. October 17th is the deadline. I think it's likely that Poole signs. They're going to have to. Somebody's not going to be around among the group of big money players that we know. There's very no other way to see it, and I think they feel that. That doesn't mean it's about today or tomorrow or the next day. It means they know this is coming, and it doesn't have to be spelled out for them. It's just they see it, and talented players looking at a pie, looking at playing time, looking at who's the starter and who plays at the end of the half and who plays at the end of the game. It's natural. I think it's competitive. You don't want players who shy away from that. You don't want creaking violence, but sometimes it's going to blow up. It's going to explode, and we'll see if it continues. And I think by the seriousness of Bob Myers and Steve Kerr and Steph Curry's tone today, you understand that they realize this could be serious. They also realize they can, leadership, which is obviously Steph Curry's the number one part of that, as they all said. It can be gotten through. They've gotten through this, but doesn't mean it's guaranteed to be gotten through this time. And maybe the sheer volume of it, the number of young players they have, and these are not, Draymond's several years older than he was when he went off on Durant. And guess who they picked in Draymond versus Durant, by the way? They picked Durant. They didn't re-sign Durant, but that was a pretty clear little call there. And Draymond is several years past that. So, where's the balance on that? We'll find out. I don't know. They don't have to make the decision right now. But there are a lot of things dropping into the scales right now. And as is typical with the Warriors, it's all playing out in front of us.
Is there anything to be taken from the notion that they came out today as quickly as they did to try to address the thing rather than try to sort of finesse it with a lot of no comments or we'll keep this internal? I mean, they did send out their three biggest guns to address this.
Yeah, I think they thought about it. I mean, let's put this they normally tell us that when people are going to be available and what their practice the day before. And today they didn't do it till this morning. It probably was some internal discussion about that. That's just me interpolating it. I don't know that for sure. But, yeah, I think they thought about it. And they maybe, thought about canceling practice or whatever so they wouldn't have to address it. But I think there's a history here. After the Draymond Durant thing, they addressed it the next day. Bob Myers went out. It was another game, and I was at that presser. He said, Draymond was suspended for a game. That's just happening. We just can't condone this kind of behavior. We love Draymond. I think this was a very similar situation. You don't delay it. If this is what you feel, you don't. And I also believe there's another aspect of this is they just don't. One, they don't want Draymond to keep doing it for sure. Two, they don't want Kuminga, Wiseman, Moody, and Poole to think, okay, this is the way we behave. This is it. This is the Warriors' standard. The Warriors feel they've got very different standards. And that's why I think, Myers and Kerr kept mentioning Steph. That's their standard. The standard isn't, Draymond going up and down, although however much they love him and how much he does lead them emotionally. The standard of behavior is Steph Curry. And they need that. And they need the other players to see that. And I think Steph signs off on it. And also Steph talking today means he's signing off on it. And how many times have they brought Steph out there to sign off on this? Many, many times. But again, that's his incredible value as a standard bearer, as the best player, as the guy who sets the tone. And today he did it too.
Tim Kawakami joining us here right off the rip today, talking about the story that we're talking about all afternoon long here, that there was a punch thrown and it's been heard around the entire NBA world. Do you think, and we know that Draymond on court represents so much of a defensive presence that he's always going to be a defensive leader, but do you believe that this is maybe a moment where he has abdicated actual leadership over this team?
Probably not emotional leadership. He's going to be out there and he's going to be firing them up and he's going to be calling out the defenses and, the switches and the rotations. But I just think you just start to go to the actuarial table at some point and, he's got a contract, he's got a player option for next season. Maybe he exercises it, maybe he doesn't. But at some point at his age and this stuff starts weighing it down, you just start thinking about, okay, who's next? And I'm not saying it's now, and I know he hates this conversation, but are you going to give him a 3-year extension after this? Are you giving him I don't know about that. I didn't think they were anyway. I think they were going to wait. I think there is some level of, is this who is going to get paid? Is this who they're going to tie themselves to? Is this what they really need for 3-4 more years? And if you are not that guy and other players start to feel that too, then you lose a lot of the leadership capabilities. You just do. It's by who's valuable, really. That's what it comes down to. It's by who is counted on. It's by who has the value, and also who inspires, and also by who knows the right answers and all those things. But it's a combination of the things. If Steph Curry wasn't Steph Curry, the player, he'd be a great guy. He wouldn't be the leader that he is. It's because he's both. Tim Duncan the same way, whatever you want to, go down the line on the great leaders in NBA history. If Draymond's play falls off a little bit as these episodes continue, I just think it's a progression of where the team thinks he is, what kind of contract they're willing to give him, what other players listen to. I don't know, is Jordan Poole going to listen to him? Like everything he ever says, every time when he thinks he blew an assignment and starts screaming at him, there might be a different dynamic there. So yeah, I think it's in degrees. I think it's in, certain little aspects, but I think the idea of Draymond losing a little bit of that credibility, it begins to be part of the discussion.
In what ways then, and I'm asking you to project here, which is unfair, but that's the price you pay for answering the phone.
That's true.
In what way does this change the way that Steph Curry leads this team? Because he's usually been sort of the quiet guy who just, everybody looks to him, but he never has to say anything. Does this dynamic necessarily change how he approaches that part of his job?
Yeah, I think so. I think I wouldn't have thought so because he was such a presence when the Draymond Durant thing happened. It happened when he wasn't with the team, right? Then what's the next thing happen? He's with the team because he was hurt at the time. But I think Kerr and Myers really underlined that today, that Steph's become more vocal just in the last few years as they've accumulated these young players when Iguodala wasn't there. And I think there's some implication that Draymond, has been, his voice, I don't want to say is quieter, I don't want to say means less, but I think it's certainly suggested when you say Steph's voice means more, that there was a voice there who was talking and his voice might be meaning less. And it is not like, hey, Draymond's always going to be important for every moment that he is a Warrior. And he will play great games and he will say things on the sideline that get guys going. But I think the emphasis that Steph Curry's voice is ringing louder, and it's his team. As what Kerr said, it's his team. It was always Steph Curry's, right? Nobody's going to dispute the Steph Curry's team for the last 13 years. But I think what they mean is he's not sharing it with Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston and Zaza Pachulia and David West and Draymond Green. That ain't it anymore. It's Steph Curry. He's the guy everybody looks to. He's a North Star. And when the locker room is trying to figure out how they handle this, they're not looking at 6 different directions. They're looking at one, and it's Steph Curry. So, yeah, I think that has changed over the last few years. He's been the leader. He's been the most important guy. When he said anything, it mattered. I think he's just saying it more, and I think it is literally, the voice that means 15 times more than any other voice there, and that includes Draymond.
Hey, your voice means an awful lot to us, Tim. Thanks for sharing it with us today. I know you got some other duties right in front of you, so maybe we'll call you about the Niners tomorrow. But today it's Warriors all the time almost here. Thank you so very much.
You got it. Anytime, guys.
Tim Kawakami, right off the rip. Hi, welcome to the show today. Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game. We're brought to you by BMW Fairfield, now open in the Fairfield Auto Mall. Since opening their doors in July of 2021, BMW Fairfield's become the top-rated BMW dealer in the Bay Area. You go find out why for yourself. Well, here we are again. Thanks to Draymond Green, the Warriors are in position to, defend kind of the indefensible all at the same time. I think anyone who's ever been around sports understands that punches sometimes flow between highly competitive guys at practice. There is an element of this, Ray, that is no big deal. And I think that there are other moving parts of this that could absolutely metastasize into something that could be a big deal. And just the relationship dynamics of a team that is 2 weeks away from lifting the curtain on opening night. It's another one of those, seriously, Draymond? And man, your timing is just impeccable.
Well, here's the thing. I think the punch is the least lasting of the things that happened yesterday. Yeah, because those go away pretty quickly. But I'm not sure that I believe Kerr when he says that Jordan Poole has been an exemplar. I think he is exactly the kind of guy who very much wants to become the full-fledged part of the core and maybe acting like it because that was sort of his MO at Michigan. So I think he might be, a little bit, wearing bigger shoes than he's got feet for quite now against the veterans. And I suspect that that's what the real center of this is. I don't think that he and Green go at it about money, although that might be an undercurrent. I think it's the notion that Jordan Poole thinks he has done enough to stop waiting to become a material part of this. And the thing that has caused him to have to keep waiting is the fact that Klay Thompson's back. So how many minutes do you have in your backcourt? And I think he sees a frustrating thing there and wants to sort of force his way in. And I don't know that this is the team where that's done. Where Draymond Green goes crosswise is in not playing that dynamic smartly, is just snapping and, because clearly the two of them did something mutually that caused this thing to spark. So Green's final act is indeed indefensible, but clearly something's been leading to that. And I think that's probably the undercurrent that the Warriors are most concerned about, that they might have some sort of generational fault lines that they're going to have to monitor very closely this year. And the idea that, as Tim suggested, that Steph Curry is now supposed to be a more overt day-to-day leader is an indication that Steve Kerr and Bob Myers think their voices may not be strong enough to keep that under wraps.
Well, there's a lot there. I think we have two preeminent basketball trash talkers. I think we have one guy who has completely established himself in this league, trying to hold on to his status as my team, and a young man who's establishing himself in this league who'd like to pull a little bit more of the team to his side of the table, saying, it's my team. I'm a biggest part of this now as you are a part of this now. So I am your equal, Draymond. I am no longer your apprentice here. And oh, by the way, I dare you to make 5 jump shots in a row, big guy. Like, I could totally see how there is a Michigan State undercurrent of me poking you, you poking me poking you poking me. And like any Big Ten rivalry, at some point, you've poked enough and you've upset someone, and that's when a punch gets thrown. Draymond Green has also been a guy who clearly, when it comes to self-governance, comes up short. He comes up short. He has thrown multiple punches. He tried to fight Steve Kerr in Oklahoma City. This is someone who knocked out a college kid visiting East Lansing. This is someone who prides himself on being an agitator. It is his brand. It is part of the id of Draymond Green, and I believe that he thinks he needs to protect that part of his brand, and he's willing to go a step too far to remain the big dog on the porch when maybe he isn't as big a dog on the porch as the puppy that is Jordan Poole is becoming on this porch. I think that there's so many different dynamics. There is a generational gap. There is the minutes of an NBA game at hand. There are, we were rivals in college, even though we didn't play each other. That's how Michigan State works. There is a certain amount of pie left to fight over in terms of the budget of the Warriors going forward. And as much as you want yours, I don't want to relinquish mine. There's so many different things going on here.
Yeah, but I think it's more than Green v. Poole. I think it's Green defending the idea that he was part of the group that put 4 rings up on the wall. And that when you push against that, for whatever reason, whether it's just minutes or, hey, I'm as good as you are, I mean, the truth is they don't play the same position. So it's not really that they're fighting each other for time. It's the idea that, and I think veterans tend to do this, whether it's Draymond Green or really any guy who's been around the league for a while. When they look at a guy in his 3rd year, they say, what have you done? And I think Jordan Poole is saying, yeah, well, look what I did last year.
Yeah, I think carried us for a moment of the year.
Yeah, and he was very impactful. He was not as impactful in the playoffs, but that's
the next
beside
step.
The point. Yeah, he's still got growing to do. But I think mostly what it is Green is sort of working outside his actual bounds by trying to defend the rights of the veterans. When in fact, most of the veterans will figure this out on their own.
You're onto something. You're officially onto something. And I think that if I saw someone mention this on Twitter and clicked the YouTube link to find out what Draymond could possibly, like, where did this boiling point come from? Because we all know that they just had like a very good, people felt great about it, healthy competition trip over to Japan, where there was this 3-point shooting contest where very much Jordan Poole and Moses Moody were talking about how, hey, it's a little bit our time. And I can promise you right now that Jordan Poole did more of the talking than Moses Moody did. And they were basically saying, like, hey, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, you're about to lose a 3-point shooting contest in Japan to us. And we're coming after you, and good luck holding off the young pups. And I think that is part of what Draymond Green got rubbed by. And this has been building maybe since that moment. And Draymond almost admitted as much on his own podcast on The Volume. Here's Draymond Green talking about that moment in Japan.
And so shout out to Steph and Klay. That was an absolutely incredible thing to watch. Like Klay said, I absolutely loved watching them humble JP, Jordan Poole, that is. That was fun. And then Jordan Poole tried to take the passive-aggressive route, like, oh, they only the best shooters in the world, but you weren't talking like that before, JP. So that was absolutely good to see.
In other words, you stuck your chin out, you got punched by the established veterans, which Draymond very much fancies. I'm with them, not quite with you. And there is a, you ain't ready for this, you're not quite part of this yet, element of Draymond here that sounds like it's born almost of jealousy in a weird way. Like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson need no defending by Draymond Green. Like, he doesn't need to be their mouthpiece. And he's like, oh, I'm so happy that, Klay told Jordan to, hold that in terms of the loss in the 3-point shooting contest. And he needs some humbling. And Draymond obviously had not been satisfied with the level of humbling. And the minute Jordan Poole turned around to challenge him in practice, this entire pot of boiling water simmered over.
Well, but here's why it matters. Because I don't think it's just simple jealousy. I think it's the notion that the Warriors, since 2014, even before the first championship, they never allowed internal fault lines to get in the way of the main goal. And if the young guys are feeling like it's our time now, the implication there is that it's not your time anymore, which means now they're looking at this as a team that's in the way of what we want to be. And that's not
Draymond's
the Warrior
wrong
way.
to look at that. He's
And
wrong to look at it from that perspective. He really is. If that's the way he's looking at it, he's looking at it the wrong way.
No, I'm not saying he's looking at it. I'm saying that the young guys might be looking at it the wrong way too, because I think this is a team that has always operated on the notion that you pull together in the end. And if the new dynamic is we're getting tired of waiting for this to be our time, because remember, Jordan Poole had to wait 2 years to even get a serious look, in much the same way that Draymond did. I mean, that's also the Warrior way. You don't get rushed into the team. Stephen Curry didn't get rushed into the team. The guy who had the shortest transition, if you want to be honest, was Thompson, because they found that they needed him right away. But the truth is, the Warriors don't rush young guys in and go, here, it's your time immediately because we just decided it's your time. You have to earn your time. And the truth is,
I think Jordan Poole believes he's earned it, and that's why he doesn't want to hear another word in practice about what he isn't.
Well, here's the problem.
We got much more coming up. Much more coming up here. Damon and Ratto, you know what the topic is. We're pretty much keeping it here, but for a conversation a little bit later on next hour with Kyle Bailey, who is the best sports talk radio host in Charlotte. He has got a stat about the Panthers being futile that you'll absolutely want to hear. That's at 4:15. Everything up to that is this, and there is no doubt that today's press conference was really put out there for one thing, for the Warriors to let the world know this isn't a Jordan Poole problem. This is a Draymond Green problem. That was the message that I took away from some of the biggest voices in the organization. Much more around the corner. Damon and Ratto, brought to you by Lucky California.
At Lucky California, every day is full of fresh possibilities everywhere you look at a price that will always fit your budget. This week, red or green grapes are just $1.49 per pound. Shop all of the fantastic weekly deals at Lucky California. Come see what's fresh.
Dr. Trudy Fleer here with the 5G Home Recovery Podcast. Let's discuss a very real existential threat to internet speed. It's a big one. Ready? T-Mobile Home Internet. It lags. Ugh. Now, what is lag? Lag is a delay in data being transmitted across the internet. For example, you're hitting that hot drop, the parachute cuts out, you've got an unsuspecting bot in your sights, and lag! You were actually eliminated 10 seconds ago. Nobody deserves that. So stop letting T-Mobile Home Internet ruin everything and switch to Xfinity. Learn more at xfinity.com/TMOFax.
Get an amazing value on Xfinity Internet with unlimited data included. Switch for $55 a month for 2 full years with no annual contract required and no equipment fees for 24 months. Go to xfinity.com/TMOFax, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 10/17/22. Restrictions apply. New fast internet and Xfi Complete customers only. Xfi Gateway required. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Hi, welcome to the IKEA Fall Savings Event.
Hey, I'm checking off my fall to-do list. I've got apple picking done. Now I need a cozy rug for cider tasting night.
Well, we've got offers on rugs, lighting, and more. And as an IKEA family member, you'll save $20 when you spend $200 or more pre-tax.
Great. Now I actually have to make cider.
Visit us in-store or at IKEA-USA.com/fall savings event to get ready and save. Offer valid 10/7 to 10/10 in the U.S. Discount applied proportionally across items purchased as shown on receipt. See store and IKEA-USA.com/fall savings event for complete terms and restrictions.
Do you think all premium fuels are the same? Well, your engine doesn't. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus helps keep your engine running like new because it's engineered to defend against 4 main engine threats: gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. So next time, choose Shell's most advanced fuel ever. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline.
Have you ever hired a commercial painting company, then been stuck managing your own project? Hi, this is Matt Jesse, president of MB Jesse Painting. We know how busy you are and that you need professional painters who are actually professionals. My team has the experience, training, and credentials to get the job done. If you've been waiting for the right time to paint, this is it. Call 855-MB-JESSE today or visit us online at mbjesse.com.
MB Jesse. At Harris Ranch, we do beef just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. Tender steaks, awesome burgers, and California classics like tri-tip roast. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Come on, it's time to get out and grill. Harris Ranch, we do beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
It's Joe Shasky from the Morning Roast. And if you're an independent restaurateur or are starting a brand new business, then you gotta know about my friends at Trimark. Trimark, making independent restaurateurs' dreams come true in Northern California for over 55 years. Whether you're designing your next restaurant or you need equipment and supplies, this is where Trimark comes in. They do it all. And what's most important to them is being a partner to their business customers. Visit TrimarkWest.com. That's TrimarkWest.com.
The award-winning documentary Beyond Homeless, Finding Hope offers real hope for transforming homelessness in San Francisco. Watch at beyondhomeless.org.
The new Google Pixel 7 Pro is super, especially when it's on Verizon, the network America relies on. It's supercharged, super powered, and a super...
deal.
You know it. Now, switch to Verizon and get the Google Pixel 7 Pro on us with select trade-ins and select 5G unlimited plans.
That really is super.
Yep, there's never been a better time to switch to Verizon. $899.99 device payment purchase with new smartphone line on select 5G unlimited plans required. $200 Verizon e-gift card with porting. Less $700 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. 0% APR. Trade-in conditions and additional terms apply.
Imagine a world with endless possibilities. I'm talking endless saving and endless hot showers. Yeah, you heard me right. Endless hot showers. With Navien, that dream is now a reality. Navien tankless water heaters deliver a continuous flow of hot water for as long as you need it. No waiting for a tank to reheat more water, wasting time and energy. The compact design saves you space and money in comparison to traditional tank water heaters. It's time to make the switch and make your hot water dreams come true. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game. Brought to you by BMW Fairfield. Now open in the Fairfield Auto Mall. Visit BMWFairfield.com today to book your visit.
Damon and Ratto live on the air. It's good to have you on the radio side. It's good to have you on Twitch and on YouTube. Hello to all of our Twitchers, our YouTubers, our chatters. Who do we got out there today? E-Smoke. Inspector Gadget, Drew Down, as always, our intrepid YouTube chatter leader, Otis Bird III, MDK1. Look at all these City Lock, San Jose Jazz fan, Vince Vargas. Good to have you all. Thanks for weighing in. Lots of people want to talk about what happened at Warriors practice. Oh, my God, we talking about practice. A punch thrown. Draymond Green strikes Jordan Poole, and today a press conference. No suspension for Draymond Green. What are you going to do? Suspend him on ring night? Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. I said, Ray, that I was going to be opening the show today with my idea for the proper punishment. I was going to go with full can of mace. But I did that yesterday. So I've already used up all my mace. No, to me, what I think, if you're looking to really send a message to Draymond Green, obviously he's not being suspended. I would take him out of the starting five on opening night. I would have Andre Iguodala get the last opening night start of his career at the 4 with Looney at the 5. I'm starting Jordan Poole to just kind of let Draymond Green know how the wind is blowing around Chase Center, man. Just so you know. Look, important minutes, important games. Draymond, we all know that you are the captain of this defense, and you will get your respect at that point in time. But a little slice of humble pie is a pie that Draymond has been needed to be served throughout his career. He has never really learned the lesson of the taste of that humble pie, so you kind of got to keep serving it to him. Every now and then, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. I'd embarrass Draymond in front of the clutch sports organization that is the Lakers and bench him and not give him a start against boyfriend, LeBron James. And I think that would be a little bit of a shot across his bow that made him realize that, dude, you used to have a place on this team that you may not occupy as much as you think you do right now, and you just need to calm down, dude. Like, that message has been sent to you so many times. To me, what we heard from Steve Kerr today and Bob Myers and an element of Steph Curry, and we'll get into all of this sound in just a bit, they're exasperated. Like, they can't believe here they are again having a press conference about the pile of crap that Draymond Green has stepped in once again.
I think if you try to embarrass him that way, you make the problem worse and you make it last. I think the obvious perp walk will be the presser that he's going to have to do in a couple of days. I think they made it clear today that they're not good with fist diplomacy. And I think the rest of it will take care of itself, because I think what they did today by bringing Curry out onto the podium to discuss a mess that wasn't his is to show everybody that the voice in the room now belongs to him.
We need to see that, though.
Who didn't
know that?
Because he doesn't use the voice much. And I think a lot of people have come to think over the years that Draymond Green is the litmus paper. What they're doing is they're putting Stephen Curry out in front and saying, I know you had nothing to do with this, but we need your moral throw weight. And I think that's probably the lesson that they're trying to teach Draymond is, okay, you're not the only bell cow in the room anymore. It's him. He's going to be more overt about it, and you're going to have to work with that. Because I think if you try to make this a Poole v. Green thing, you start pulling in veterans on one side and rookies on the other, and I think that's the thing.
That. Draymond did.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who made it that. You're trying to quell that. And the only way you can quell that is by bringing in the ambassador to the universe and say, this is who everybody deals with now. I think that's because you're not just trying to teach a lesson to Draymond Green. That's the wrong chase to make. The chase is to let everybody in the room.
Who else needs a lesson?
Everybody in that room needs to know this is not going to be allowed to be generational, because they have fault lines here now. And both Green and Poole have been making that clear in one way or another. Green's failure was in throwing a punch at a guy, which is, very much not the Warrior way. What they did was make it public now that whatever you ever thought about Draymond Green as the voice of this team, they're now saying, no, it's Curry, and he's going to use the voice more.
Don't be fooled by the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it's, that's the punishment. That's the lesson that's going to be delivered here. And I think it's way more effective than say, we're going to rub your nose in it on opening night. Because that's punitive, and it's small, and it's petty. This is substantive, and it means more, and it lasts longer.
I think that Draymond operates on a level of pettiness, though, that he really... he doesn't change his ways, right? There's no, and we coached Draymond Green up to how he needs to behave in this moment. He has learned his lesson. He is a matured 32-year-old veteran that we can count on to not behave like that anymore. I think Draymond has lost a lot of stock with some of the veterans that he was, I think, maybe trying to circle the wagons around and defend against Jordan Poole. And that's what I heard from Steph Curry a little bit today, saying that, hey, he's an important part of our team, but I don't know if Draymond Green is an important part of team leadership anymore. I think you abdicate an awful lot of leadership, and young guys follow me, I know the way when you do this. And what I also think is the best thing that is going to get the Warriors through this is that Jordan Poole's got the scrapple in him, man. Kevin Durant can be taken down and mope on a loading dock with a word. I don't think Jordan Poole is really going to worry about this going forward. I think Jordan Poole has got all sorts of scrapple in him, and he is not going to be a lingering, wallflower now because of this. I think that is something that Draymond actually, once he sees it, will develop more respect for Jordan Poole. Draymond doesn't respect anybody who backs down to him. Nobody. And I think that there is a little friction between he and Jordan Poole, who apparently was like one of the Warriors who wasn't at the wedding. I think we got a couple of red asses. I think we got Bonds and Kent.
Okay, you got Bonds and Kent, but Bonds and Kent didn't have Curry. Curry has basically now been promoted to Uber guy.
But he was that to begin.
No. He wasn't that to begin with, in terms of being the loud voice in the room and being the guy that everybody, Draymond sort of took that role over. Now, I believe it's been made clear that they expect Curry to be more out front, that he liked to sort of, be Yoda. Now they want him to sort of be that guy. Now you're going to have to fill in some of the gaps that Draymond has abdicated. And that's why they brought him out today. And that's why he said what he did the way he did it. This is this now so much more Curry's team than it ever was before, that now even people who thought he was a subtle leader don't get that luxury anymore, because he's not going to get to be as subtle as he used to be.
I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but I thought that everyone who had any idea how this team works knew that Steph Curry was implicitly the 100% leader, and that was before Draymond even showed up to practice yesterday, before he threw the... But like, to me, more vocal, more out front, sure. I guess
that's what I'm talking about. Because I agree with you. I agree with you about his essential leadership, that he's the North Star. But they're expecting him now to shine more brightly so that the young guys realize, okay, you might have an issue with Draymond, but the structure of this team is basically run by that guy. Now you're going to look to him, and he's not the guy you get to challenge, because we won't back your play then.
To me, the single biggest moment of this press conference, and why they had the press conference, I think is worth talking about here in a moment. But the single biggest takeaway of Bob Myers, of Steve Kerr, of Steph Curry, was refuting what Chris Haynes reported on Yahoo, saying that Jordan Poole's attitude may have planted the seeds of discontent that led up to this moment. And it wasn't just Draymond who was feeling that, but it was sort of the entire locker room getting rubbed the wrong way by the up-and-comer. And Steve Kerr basically stuck his foot in that and broke it off.
Jordan has been fantastic throughout camp. There was a report that I was made aware of last night. Someone put out there that Jordan had an attitude in camp. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's been fantastic. So disappointing to see misinformation out there, but I wanted to make sure I set the record straight on that. Everything else we will handle internally, and we'll go from there.
By the way, Steve also said Draymond's return.
Didn't practice today. I won't be here tomorrow, and I expect him to return on Saturday and get back at it.
I mean, return on Saturday. On Saturday. Humbly showing up, hat in hand? Or is this just 2 days that Draymond doesn't go to practice?
I think you know the answer to that. Draymond Green doesn't joyfully miss practices. It's too close to the start of the season. I think he was told, go home for a couple of days. I think this is the suspension. Just 2 days, you're not going to practice. Think about what's happened here. think about why we had to do this, and think about what we both told you and told the outside world.
Steph Curry with no mixed signals as to what side he saw this from.
Yeah, there's a specific tweet that was put out yesterday about insinuating that JP's attitude or something has changed since he's been in this training camp, or even, whatever time window they're talking about. It's absolute BS. Andre addressed it yesterday with his tweet, and you kind of leave it at that. JP's been great. There's nothing that warranted the situation yesterday, and make that clear. But it's also something that we feel like will not derail our season and what we're trying to build, and that's with Draymond, and as a part of that. So the rest of it, part when speculation becomes opinion and turns into borderline fact of like what actually happened. So I hate that became kind of part of the narrative, which it's not fair to JP.
By the way, who's the clown show who doesn't know how to use Zoom meetings in 2022? Lady, mute your microphone. Good Lord. What the hell are we doing? Are we got professionals in the room? We're just letting anybody into an NBA press conference with a Zoom invite?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Since you asked.
What the hell's going on these days? 888-957-9570. The blame, big deal, no big deal, the ramifications. What do you think of what happened yesterday at Warriors practice? What is the end game of this moment? This is Joe in San Jose. Joe, thanks for the call. You're on 95.7 The Game.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We got you, Joe.
I think it's an escalation because nothing has been done previously, so Draymond continued to escalate situations, and hitting somebody is just an escalation because it never was. He had so many red lines before that nothing ever was done, so it's going to keep escalating. What do you guys think of that? Thanks for taking my call.
Well, to me...
Things have been done to Green before.
Yeah, he was suspended for an NBA Finals game.
He was the one who took the brunt of the Durant thing. He got either fined, suspended, or both for that. Green's been punished before. This one, though, I think, when they brought Curry out, because I think that's where they show their hand, you're going to have to replace Draymond as sort of the de facto voice for this team. You might have been that internally, but now we need to make that clear in a way that not only Poole knows it, but Kuminga knows it, Moody knows it, Weissman knows it, Patrick Baldwin, all of them. That this is your operation. And while Draymond Green might have abdicated his sort of moral authority here, that guy doesn't. And he is the ace that trumps all other cards, including all of you. So there's your message.
Draymond gets suspended one game for the Kevin Durant thing. And we pretty much don't hear about it from Draymond the rest of the way. I'm sure they told him, you just let this topic float away now. It's gone. But then we had the Draymond, Kevin Durant, after the fact final sit down where the two of them basically say, yeah, this was kind of all Bob Myers' fault. Like Bob Myers was, someone who handled this the wrong way. They should have just left it to you and me to chop it up, and they got in front of it. I think that upset the Warriors a little bit. And if Draymond really feels that way and isn't just acting with bravado in front of Kevin Durant, he didn't learn. And there's the thing. There are some lessons you can't teach people. How to not snap with anger is a lesson I don't know if Draymond Green can be taught. And in many ways, that is his single greatest attribute as a professional athlete. I've always said Draymond's greatest attribute is the size of the chip on his shoulder, which no matter the amount of success or wealth he has obtained, remains this colossal chip on his shoulder. Jordan Poole's got a big chip on his shoulder, too. And these two chips squared off, and I think Jordan Poole gets to walk away saying, you know what, man? I don't care how many more rings you might have won. From here on out, I'm more professional than you are. I am more of a pro than you are, because the number of guys I've hit in NBA practices is 0. And I wonder if that is actual Draymond's body count, and they just haven't done a good job hiding this. You tell me today's the day Draymond got hot in practice? The only day? Or yesterday, pardon me? No, there's no chance of that.
No,
so
the Warriors have had to do a delicate dance with Draymond Green over the years, which is knowing you can't really corral him without taking away some of his competitive edge, but trying to figure out where the third rail is. And a couple of times he's hit the rail. This was one of those times. And they don't have to make any kind of contractual decisions on either of these guys yet. They'll let that play itself out. But this was their way of saying, this didn't have to happen. And the guy who made it happen, in the end, was Green with the last blow. But I also believe that they are going to bring Poole in, and they're going to say, listen, if you're going to transition into a more substantial role in the room and on the floor, you've got to not talk to your teammates as though they're your enemies either. You've got to figure out that you're part of this, and if we move Draymond sort of out of the way of that for a while, you have a guy that you can't not fully respect in every way, and that's Stephen Curry. He's the guy you look to now. And that's how you're going to learn to be even more of a professional than you already are, because you're not all the way there yet, and maybe you just need a different role model. That's him.
Well, don't take his bait. As much as you're going to want to bow up to him, there's no reason for you to bow up to him anymore, Jordan. Like, we know who you are on this team. We know what you mean to the future of this franchise. And look, you know what Draymond means to the future of the Golden State Warriors? This is undebatable. Less than what Jordan Poole means to the future of the Golden State Warriors. So maybe that's a little bit of a grip on the situation that has made Draymond, it feels like he needs to push back against someone who shouldn't be on his I got to push back against you radar. It's not like Draymond's a two-guard. It's not like Draymond's in the backcourt. He's really not threatened by Jordan Poole's minutes. Maybe the contract thing. I know Bob Myers talked about that. He didn't really get a sense it was about fighting over future pies of money or anything like that.
It does break that way, though. And look, Draymond Green has done the math on this. So has Jordan Poole, because neither of them are stupid. But I think more than anything, what they did was tell Draymond Green, we don't need you to be the hall monitor anymore. We're replacing you with Stephen Curry. We still want you to be you, and we want you to point out when players screw up. But it can't be you v. him or him v. you. All right? Whether the him is Poole or Kuminga or Weissman or anybody, you need to dial it down just a hair.
You know
Don't
what I love?
ball up your fist.
You know what I love about this, by the way? There's at least a 25% chance that Klay Thompson doesn't even know this happened. And that's why I love him. That's his importance to the Golden State Warriors.
He first of all, he plays at being unaware, but I think he's acutely aware of this because it does directly impact him. Not in terms of leadership or any of the ephemeral stuff, but some of his minutes are minutes that Poole wants. And that's always been sort of a delicate dance here. Because if Poole wants 30 minutes a game, well, that means that's got to be 15 coming out of Curry and 15 coming out of Thompson.
I think that it's easy to sell to those guys. It's easy to sell.
It's easy to sell to them. But there are going to be times when you need Curry to do 38 minutes.
And that's why you're only going to play 22 tonight, because we're going to bank those minutes for when we need it, and that's what Jordan and Moses
But that's why I say
represent.
It's a delicate dance, and they have to be able to make it clear to Poole. Some nights you're not going to get what you believe are your minutes. Sometimes the game's going to dictate that, and it's not going to be just your performance. Sometimes we need the two veterans down the stretch to do the things that they've done and continue to do. And you've got to learn to be okay with it. Because if this is only about you wanting this to be your team, you're waiting in line. You're still waiting in line because those guys are still here and they're going to be here. And if you need to have your team right now, you might have to rethink where you play. I don't think they want to take it there.
And I don't even think Jordan Poole needs that explained to him. You can't be a guard and not understand that you're not Steph Curry, you're not Klay Thompson.
No,
but I think I'd be surprised if he needed to hear that. When we come on back, we got lit lines and people want to talk about this, and we are going to allow you to talk about this next. If you're on hold, you will start our very next segment. Thank you so much for listening today. A very interesting day for the Golden State Warriors, or a big cause celeb about nothing. A week and now, we're not even talking about it.
One less day of yammering about the Carolina Panthers.
And by the way, our friend Kyle Bailey's going to move to tomorrow so we can keep talking about this here on 95.7 The Game. It's Damon and Ratto. It's great to have you here today. 888-957-9570. We're going out to calls next. We're going to hear from Bob Myers next, and we're going to hear from you as well. Damon and Ratto, brought to you by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises.
Look to this player to get the ground game cooking tonight. I'm Joe Giglio here to help you beat the books with BetQL. Indianapolis and Denver face off tonight in the Mile High City, and the starting running backs for both teams are out. That means Denver could look to their quarterback to boost the run game and go over his rushing total. BetQL is over 13.5 rushing yards for Denver's quarterback as a 5-star best bet. I'm Joe Giglio, bet smarter, beat the books. Download the BetQL app today.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the peace of mind that comes with Security Edge, helping to protect all your connected devices, and the most reliable 5G mobile network. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security. Together for just $69.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Or find out how to get up to a $650 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Requires enrollment in EcoBill and AutoPay. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Comcast Business Mobile utilizes the network with the most RootMetrics 5G data reliability wins in 1H 2022. Results may vary, not an endorsement.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
If you
own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you may be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to GetRefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to GetRefunds.com. That's GetRefunds.com.
This Hispanic Heritage Month, the Multicultural Institute is celebrating 31 years in the community. That's 31 years of experience coming together to support and uplift each other. The Multicultural Institute connects day laborers and domestic workers with employers to ensure dignity while also providing comprehensive year-round services for the Bay Area's low-income Latinx community. To hire a day laborer or learn more about the Multicultural Institute, visit their website at mionline.org. That's mionline.org.
Football season is here. The new Odyssey app lets you stay connected to your NFL team, your station, your shows. Follow your favorite stations and come back again and again. Get real-time updates on everything you care about. Miss your show? Jump back to their awesome rewind feature. The Odyssey app is NFL football. Live and on demand. Wherever you are, whenever you want. And did we mention it's all free? Download the Odyssey app today.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
Our sister station, Alice, is celebrating the return of Alice in Winterland. It's happening on Friday, December 2nd at the SAP Center. John Mayer, One Republic. More added, more to be added. Tickets on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Ticketmaster. So get ready to pounce on tickets. Draymond Green pouncing on Jordan Poole is what we're talking about here today. We're going to go back to your calls in just a moment. Somebody says, you guys are wrong. This is Draymond's team as much as it is Clay's team and Steph's team. And Draymond, he's going to shut you all down when he wins that ring again. Hey, there's no denying what he means on court as a player to the Golden State Warriors, what he has meant to the Warriors as a player on the court. What he means going forward, I don't know if it's as impactful as what he meant in the past. I think that this team has acquired a group of players who, while they may not be able to mirror specifically Draymond Green's defensive prowess, they'll make up for it in the points that they score to offset the need for an impact defender like that. To me, for the first time, I think Draymond is a little threatened. I mean, throwing a punch at practice is the behavior of someone who is threatened, is it not? I think it is. I think it is a little bit. And I think that Draymond actually sees his role on this team diminishing. Not diminished. It has not all the way happened, but I think he sees the steps that are in front of the rest of the Warriors around him to diminish his spot on the team. Plus, there's a declining body, declining ability to come out and play as often as he used to, and he needs, there's a part of the NBA's aging process, which whether he wants to be or not, he is a part of now.
Oh, I think he knows he's part of the aging process. I think this is entirely about how when you hit a teammate in a situation where there's no real reason to, you weren't hit first, you weren't undercut on a drive or anything, when you're the one who lashes out, you lose a little bit of your moral authority as a leader. And I think that's what they're trying to tell him. It's not about, his threatened position on the team. His position on the team actually hasn't changed, except that the young guys are going to look at him a little more askance now than they used to. Just because, what are you doing there? And I think the reason why Curry was as seemingly flabbergasted as he was is because they all agree that was excessive and uncalled for.
This is beneath you, Draymond. What are you doing?
And I think they're not going to, keep bringing this up and go, see, this is this is the reason why we can't trust you anymore. I think they still trust him. But I think they need the young guys to see in a more overt way that Stephen Curry is the guy that Bob Myers and Steve Kerr want them to look at. That's who you're trying to be. Okay?
I don't think today is the day that came into focus.
Oh, I think it was. Because they had all last night to think about it and strategize about it and talk about it and call Steph Curry and say, we want you to do this tomorrow. I think that's exactly what they did, because this didn't happen like 15 minutes after the punch. They spent all last night thinking about it. I think this is exactly the message they wanted to craft, and they crafted it.
Leroy in Oakland. Thanks for the call, Leroy. Thanks for listening. What do you got?
Hey, Damon. Hey, Ray. Man, I'm a Warriors fan, and I just get a little bummed out when stuff like this happens with my team, Damon and Ray. And, my thing coming to work this morning and talking to some of my coworkers about it was, this has been Draymond, and am I surprised, and am I going to get on Draymond about that? No, because when he's on your team, you love him, and I always say if he was with another team, I probably couldn't stand him. And so this has been Draymond, right? But my thing was, where was Stephen Curry? Where was Klay Thompson? To me, the true leaders of this team, where was their voice when Draymond was acting out like this, in the past when he was acting out like this? And I was just like, one of you guys need to sit him down and go, hey, this is not acceptable. And I think the disappointment that I heard in Curry's voice today was, don't disrespect what we've built. And I think that hurts him more than anything. With you acting out like this, you're disrespecting what we built. And I was like, someone needs to sit him down, Curry or Klay or both of you.
I mean, how many, and Leroy, you make a great point. I think they've done that. I mean, I think that Steph has had the Draymond, let's go to lunch, Draymond, I'm coming over to talk to you tonight moment probably more times than has ever been reported on. Now, what happened in practice in terms of how the punch was then broken up? Like, who was the first person to come in between them, since there was no NBA official on the court at practice? Who was that? We don't know. And I don't think the Warriors are going to let us know that. So to say that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and the other leaders, hey, might be quiet guy, but Andrew Wiggins, you're a part of this now too. And I don't think that there's anything they could have done in the moment to corral Draymond. Look at it this way. You cannot control the emotions of a man who cannot control his own emotions. And Draymond, controlling his own emotions, is absolutely not something to put on the table to debate. It is a proven fact. When, what do they say? True leadership is keeping your calm while all around you lose theirs. That's where Draymond lost the leadership equation today a little. And I don't know if he can get it back, like you said, especially maybe in the eyes of the young guys on this team, who, even though it's all one circular locker room, there's definitely a side that the older guys are on and the side that the younger guys are on. And this might do a little to pit the two of them against each other in a way that was just so unnecessary. I mean, I think that's the biggest disappointment of all of this. Like Draymond, everything coming out of Japan was screaming, "Kumbaya, let's throw the ball up. Here comes another season of the Warriors who are driven by the best culture in the NBA." For you to have flipped that script on its head before we've even reached scene 1, act 1, like this is some mid-season form from you, Draymond, that we didn't need right now.
Well, look, when he threw the punch, it wasn't about timing. It was just he snapped
out of
in the
control.
moment. It was an impulse control problem, absolutely. I think it will be interesting to see how he and Poole get along, not just publicly, but, how Draymond makes this right. Because I think he knows he has to make this right without eating so much humble pie that he feels like he's being humiliated. It's a delicate dance for him, too. Because Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, and Steph Curry are expecting him to make this right. Because if this lingers, that's going to be on him. And they're not in the mood to have this linger. Their window of opportunity, however wide we think it is now, it's still closing because they're still aging. So every year is going to be that much more difficult. And they expect him to see to it that this is not a roadblock 2 weeks before the season starts. So he's got some fence building to do.
If you're the Golden State Warriors and you're bringing back Jordan Poole, you're extending Jordan Poole, it has to happen by the 17th. If it hasn't happened by, I believe, October 17th, it can happen. There's a window to get this extension done going into this year. I wonder if Jordan Poole doesn't have that extension in front of him by Monday. I wonder if the Warriors, again, to just send a clear message that, Jordan, we're on Team you, and not that we're not on Team Draymond. Draymond's an important part of what we do, but any question about who you are has just been so thoroughly answered by this contract that everyone knows you can't punch the $100 million man.
But the wild card is, does he want to sign it now? Because if I'm him and his agent, I'm saying, let's see what else is out there, like we were planning to. I don't think their plan should change at all. I think the Warriors were probably going to offer him something anyway, and he'd just say, you know what? I think I want to see what's out there. That would only be prudent. Because Draymond Green or no Draymond Green, he is still the third guard on this team. And he may decide he wants to be the lead guard somewhere else. Because Klay Thompson's going nowhere. And Stephen Curry is even less going nowhere.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you that saying definitively a man who's torn an ACL and an Achilles is going nowhere is probably the wrong way to look at it.
It might be, but he's got an emotional hold with the people in charge, including Joe Lacob, that he's the last guy they're going to be cynical about. It may mean that they're carrying him for a year when he might not be a great player, but I think they're willing to do that for him more than they are Green. I mean, I genuinely believe that that's one of those pieces that even if he should be moved, they won't do it because they're invested in his heart.
You know what I would also do if I were Draymond Green's agent? I'd be calling him today, and I'd be talking to him about the way this looks to other future employers, if other future employers are going to come in the mix. Let me ask you, do you think that the Oklahoma City Thunder is now thinking, boy, adding Draymond Green to teach us all how to be great pros is a good move? Or the Orlando Magic are thinking, this is the guy that Paolo Banchero needs to be teamed up with to get the most and best out of him. I think that Draymond should understand, and his agent needs to explain to him that this is hurting your future earnings if your earnings aren't going to be coming from the Golden State Warriors. And truth be told, this might have hurt you a little bit right there too. And there's no team you will ever have as much house credit with as the Warriors. And if they're going to pull your marker just a little, that's a bad sign for the future, if the future is to be somewhere else.
I think he already knows it. I think he knows what a mistake this was. And I think he knows how poorly it will play. But there's no taking it back. This is just now the thing that he's got to deal with. That's why, the punch hit him as hard as it hit Poole. Maybe harder.
Good line. Did you use that in your column today?
No, I did not.
That was pretty good. You should go back and edit that one in. That was a good line.
You can't edit 18 hours later. That's the thing I found. Once it's there, it's there.
That's the internet. You could literally
I could
change the name of the guy who got
but
punched
at some
from Jordan
point,
Poole to Alan Smiley.
You got to own what you said the way you said it. No, I think he already knows that. His agent doesn't have to tell him anything about that.
You know what your other
Draymond Green is nobody's fool.
You know what your other good line in your story was? I read it today, begrudgingly.
I don't know why you bother.
No,
I wouldn't read it if I was me.
Your other good line in that piece was that Steve Kerr is the duvet cover that covers up the sometimes rumpled bed that we don't see, or whatever it was. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but that was a good one. Every now and then. Raymond.
Rarely. No, all the things we're talking about, they've already played all these things through their heads. They've already done that, because that's what professionals do. They're always inside their own heads. I guarantee you that Steve Kerr played through every possible scenario of what this could mean while he was laying in bed last night.
Who knows more about practice punches and what they might do to a player's psyche than Steve Kerr?
Yeah, except that his made him look better. That's the wacky thing about that, is sometimes it's a great thing. It's counterproductive you're taking a chance by hitting the best player in the world. But Jordan came away from that feeling like, yeah, he's got the fight I'm looking for.
I wonder if Draymond Green doesn't respect Jordan Poole more today than he did clearly the day he punched him.
Maybe.
And it's not because the Warriors told him to, but he respects a guy who can take a punch and then let it roll off his back. And if that's the way you're wired, there's a problem with that wiring that you need to test guys like that. But boy, in a league as physical as this league is, guys get physically tested.
And I also don't think he was trying to test Jordan Poole. I just think he snapped.
By the way, Steve did not want to talk about that angle of his experience today.
Well, he had a documentary about that, so just watch The Last Dance.
I don't know if this is now the Warriors' last dance. It's not set up to be, but what moments break teams apart? Is this one of those moments, or will this literally be a big scoop of nothing come Monday? And I think that there's a better chance of it being a big scoop of nothing come Monday than this being a lingering, disintegrating, eroding moment.
Let me suggest that Stephen Curry, on his own, will see to it that this is not a lingering thing. Even if Poole and Green want it to linger, he's now been placed in the position of, okay, you're going to have to be the guy who brings them both into the room and bashes their skulls together until they get it. You don't get to sit there and go, I disapprove. You're going to have to be the heavy, right? Because among other things, Steve Kerr has now been at this going on 8 years. And even wildly successful coaches, their voices tend to start to sound the same. This is the different voice in the room that could be a godsend for him, because the messages that he has been sending for 8 years, they've all been heard, but there's a point at which the same voice delivering even a great message is still repetitive, and players need to hear the same thing from somebody else. I mean, hockey players will tell you this all the time. When a coach gets fired and a new guy comes in and all of a sudden the team goes gangbusters, you'll ask a guy after 10 days, so what's changed? Nothing. Well, what do you mean nothing's changed? We're doing the same stuff that the old coach told us to do, just a different guy's telling us. And I think that's true in basically every sport. It certainly was true with the Phillies this year, who were dead in the water when Joe Girardi was there. They fire him. Rob Thompson comes in saying the same things, using his players the same way. All of a sudden, it's just, hey, this is new, this is fresh, this is fun. I mean, I think in some ways, this works out well for Kerr. Not that it's planned that way, but that Stephen Curry suddenly becoming more vocal while delivering the same messages that Kerr has always delivered is a benefit to him.
I agree. Players policing themselves is always the best form of sports policing. I mean, I don't mean I'm going to police.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain.
Well, there might be somebody out there who's just not as astute as you, Ray.
Well, one, there isn't. And two, they need to catch up.
All right, well, you're right.
That's why school's there.
Let's go to Dre. Oh, is this Draymond himself calling in to explain him? Or there's another Dre in Oakland? Hello, Dre. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. I don't have the account that Draymond has, but, a little bit of the name.
But you got house credit with us, man.
Man, if I can throw a quick little heap of praise on you guys. I know I had to tune in because I love how you guys leave no stone unturned in how you analyze the situation, and it's great. So I've decided to look at it from a Warriors fan perspective as well as a basketball fan perspective. And let me tell you, I absolutely love this. And you guys just began to touch on it. I think the organization should stay out of it. You think about the past, like the passing of the torch, whether it was Shaq to Kobe or Shaq giving it to D Wade, then D Wade to LeBron, or Robinson to Duncan and Duncan to Kawhi, or even Magic to Jordan. I love the transition happening like this. I thought about it and I thought, what is the motivation for the Warriors this year? And as they said, what are they going to say now? I couldn't point to anything to say, what's going to motivate them? I absolutely love this. I know they can still win. The young guys might be saying, well, if they win, we know who's getting the credit. It's Steph, Draymond, and Klay Thompson. I think the young guys pressing in a little bit more, and is it too early? Maybe. Jordan, not yet. Draymond, not for long. But no superstar in the history of the game has ever passed the torch to someone who does not want it. So this guy stepping up and saying, hey, I can be that guy, will motivate the old guys and will motivate the young guys. And I think the organization should, as they have to do a little something, but don't put your hand in this pot a little bit. I love it because as a fan, it means there's more for me to see. There's somebody who wants to take that spot, although a little early, and Draymond has to recognize, I'm still here. I love this tension. I think it gives the Warriors something internally, right? A motivation. There's nobody on the outside that can say anything. We needed this spark, and nobody knows that better than Steve Kerr. So I think as a Warrior fan, if I step back, I should be very, very happy. Now, Jordan Poole has to prove it. You may want the spot, but they're not giving it to you. You better prove it. And Draymond, you better prove it. I love it.
I think that's a phenomenal phone call, Dre, as good as any call that's come into the station today on the issue. And I think that you did hit on a topic. You talk about we're leaving no stone unturned. I think you just found maybe the positive thing that comes from the stone that you just turned over. The next generation will have nothing handed to them. they need to grab it. And maybe this emboldens them to want to grab it more. It's going to bring out the best in. Oh, by the way, happy 20th birthday, Jonathan Kuminga. Can't say he's just 19 anymore. He's 20 today.
He's past it.
Yeah, old man Kuminga. I do think that this is, let me just use a simple phrase. It's hard for defending champs to do, especially early on in the year sometimes. And to me, that's always the glory of the 73-win team. Like, they won a championship and they started the next year 24-0. That's a level of hunger that's usually hard to find in the NBA. We just proved it. We just did it. And when the lights shine the brightest again, we'll try to circle the wagons and get it all back again. That's what we do. But to be hungry. And I do think that this is going to keep guys frosty. Stay frosty, Golden State Warriors. All of you. Because the punches just ain't coming from the opponents. They might be coming in practice. And this means everybody needs to be glomming on to what they think is theirs and fighting for it each and every day. You know who I bet you really kind of love this just a little bit? Because he's an old soul? Iguodala. I bet you Iguodala is like putting his hands together and rubbing them going, I can work with this.
Oh, I think in a weird way it makes him all the more important.
Yeah.
But I think I want to sort of leaven everybody's enthusiasm for the notion that this is a good thing, because it's going to take more sort of psychology from a bunch of different people to make everybody come away from this feeling good. And if they can minimize this quickly, like they did the Durant Green thing in LA that night, and turn it into something that is meaningful, then that'll be fine. But it can't linger much more in the week.
I think you're onto something, and I think that the right guys are in place to see this team through this for sure. More coming up in just a moment. Damon and Ratto, your calls. Come on in. 888-957-9570. If nothing else, what do you think Jordan Poole actually said that got Draymond to swing? We'll take any and all ideas here on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, Becky, what about this beat for your next song?
It's cool, but I'm into faster stuff lately. Like Xfinity that gives me beyond gig speeds.
Got it. What about this then?
It sounds powerful, just like Xfinity. Because its supersonic Wi-Fi has 3 times the bandwidth, you can connect hundreds of devices at once.
That's what I call power.
Unbeatable internet from Xfinity. Made to do anything so you can do anything.
Get the Xfinity Supersonic Bundle with unlimited gig speed internet, Wi-Fi equipment included, and a free 4K streaming box. All for $50 a month with a 2-year internet rate guarantee and no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to Xfinity.com/gig, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. New Gigabit Extra internet customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes wireless usage. After 24 months, regular rates apply. Requires compatible Xfinity gateway.
The following is an attorney advertisement. If you get sidelined by a workplace injury, the workers' compensation attorneys at Boxer and Gerson can help get you back in the game. Our team of skilled attorneys will fight by your side for the treatment and compensation you deserve. We care about justice for injured workers. That's what makes us Northern California's premier workers' comp law firm. Call Boxer and Gerson at 510-345-2341 or visit boxerlaw.com for a free consultation. Boxer and Gerson, your life is worth the fight.
Do you think all premium fuels are the same? Well, your engine doesn't. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus helps keep your engine running like new because it's engineered to defend against 4 main engine threats: gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. So next time, choose Shell's most advanced fuel ever. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline.
Alice at 97.3 is celebrating the return of Alice in Winterland. Friday, December 2nd at the SAP Center in San Jose. Starring John Mayer. One Republic.
See you at Alice in Winterland.
Matt Nathanson. Plus more to be added. Tickets on sale tomorrow, October 7th, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster. Get everything Alice in Winterland at radioalice.com.
Don't waste your time trying to sell your old car. Donate it to Cars for Kids. It's the easiest and fastest way to donate your car and get a tax deduction. Donate online at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your car today.
The Golf Mart, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving Northern California golfers for over 30 years.
UCSF Sports Medicine Center is dedicated to treating every type of athlete, from kids to adults, amateurs to elite professionals. As one of the best orthopedic programs in the nation, UCSF has programs to optimize an athlete's performance and the latest advancements to treat the most complex sports injuries. With locations throughout the Bay Area, now including Marin, Walnut Creek, and Redwood Shores, it's even easier to make an appointment today. Visit ucsfhealth.org so you can get cleared to play. UCSF Health, redefining possible.
It's Joe Shasky from The Morning Roast. And if you're an independent restaurateur or are starting a brand new business, then you gotta know about my friends at Trimark. Trimark, making independent restaurateurs' dreams come true in Northern California for over 55 years. Whether you're designing your next restaurant or you need equipment and supplies, this is where Trimark comes in. They do it all. And what's most important to them is being a partner to their business customers. Visit TrimarkWest.com. That's TrimarkWest.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Wendy's new French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's new French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Get what you want and pay over time when you use your Lowe's Advantage Card. Now through October 26, 2022. Ask for 0% APR with 36 fixed monthly payments on a product installation or appliance purchase of $1,000 or more. Shop for the appliances you want in-store or online. Or go to the store nearest you for installation. Now at Lowe's. Offer subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store Lowe's.com for details. U.S. only.
In Berkeley, mostly cloudy overnight, lows in the mid-50s.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer and BioNTech. Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date.
Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
Colts Broncos, what do you think tonight?
I think Broncos.
Yeah.
Since you asked.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor not playing. Yeah. We got week 5 officially kicking off tonight, but there is a punch that is preventing us from talking really any NFL. Our friend Kyle Bailey, who is a great show host in Charlotte, is actually going to join us tomorrow to preview that game. This is the punch heard around the world and certainly discussed quite a bit today by Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and Steph Curry. Again, you cannot unload the shotgun with more gravitas concerning the Golden State Warriors than had Joe Lacob come out and actually participated in this press conference as well. So if there's one thing that could, I think, be, I don't even think you need to interpret this. It was plainly said by Steve Kerr as of this afternoon regarding the punch that was thrown. The Golden State Warriors are collectively on Team Poole. When it comes to this instance, here is Steve Kerr letting everyone know that Jordan Poole did nothing to ask for this. There was no behavior leading up to this in training camp or in Japan that should have been the catalyst for this moment.
Jordan has been fantastic throughout camp. There was a report that I was made aware of last night. Someone put out there that that Jordan had an attitude in camp. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's been fantastic. So disappointing to see misinformation out there, but I wanted to make sure I set the record straight on that. Everything else we will handle internally, and we'll go from there.
Now, the guy that Steve Kerr was talking about is Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes is, I don't want to say a mouthpiece for Clutch Sports, but he is kind of a mouthpiece for the position of Clutch Sports. And I'm sure they used Chris Haynes to get the message out that this isn't all on Draymond that it seems like on its surface. That was summarily rejected by Steve Kerr today. And to let you know that Clutch was trying to sell this story based on what Draymond maybe even told Chris Haynes, is here's Draymond Green on his own podcast on the Volume Network talking about how humbling Jordan Poole was part of what he enjoyed the most about that trip to Japan.
And so shout out to Steph and Clay. That was an absolutely incredible thing to watch. Like Clay said, I absolutely loved watching them humble JP, Jordan Poole, that is. That was fun. And then Jordan Poole tried to take the passive-aggressive route, like, oh, they only the best shooters in the world, but you weren't talking like that before, JP. So that was absolutely good to see.
In other words, it's Draymond saying, keep up the same energy. You're going to lead with your chin, back out with your chin as well. Don't get all passive-aggressive. That's a very Draymond feeling to feel. By the way, the Chris Haynes tweet was this, quote, Draymond Green was apologetic in the aftermath of the altercation with Jordan Poole, but there was a buildup stemming from teammates noticing a change in Poole's behavior throughout camp and the guard on the verge of securing a lucrative extension. So again, they tried to make it about he's fighting for his money. He's rubbing teammates, not just one, but other teammates the wrong way. And Steve Kerr implicitly today said, that ain't it. That's not it.
I don't know that I completely believe Steve Kerr, because I think there is something about Jordan Poole that suggests that, yeah, he does bark.
He's a trash talker.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, driven by the fact that he thinks he's ready to be a full-fledged trash talker against anybody on that team. And I think what the Warriors need to do with him, now that they've sort of thrown their support behind him, is remind him that he's part of a greater whole, and that this isn't about how much leadership you get. It's about how well you continue to meld with the rest of this team and how you find your leadership role as it presents itself, not as you try to grab it, because they've got leaders. And Draymond Green is still one of those leaders. I mean, he's got to adjust his vision too, but what they did today was make it clear that the hierarchy now, if it was unclear to anybody, is that Stephen Curry is now going to be the face, ears, and voice of that locker room. And it might mean he'll have to feel uncomfortable from time to time doing that. But I think they've made it clear that we need this from you now in ways that we didn't before. And you're the only one who can do this. Not Iguodala, not Thompson, not Green. You. It's now, you get to carry the heavy scepter too. The crown weighs heavy on the head.
Rich is in Fremont. Rich, you're on 95.7 The Game. Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I think this whole thing had a little more schemes to it a little while ago. I don't think it was just, that situation with, Draymond punching Jordan Poole. And I don't believe that Draymond just went out and punched him. So, and this is the thing. We know Steve Kerr will lie, okay? So him saying today that no, it wasn't anything like that, I don't believe that.
Well, that's head coach speak. Hold on, Rich, and I'm not cutting you off. You can do. I'm going to come right back to you here. But it wasn't just Steve Kerr. Steph Curry said that too. So I don't think Steph Curry's got any reason to go up there and lie about that.
Well, I'll tell you something. I honestly do believe that Steph Curry will lie if he knows he's going to make the team look good. Because you got to understand, they're an NBA champion. And the NBA champion, you got an image to protect. And this is not a good look. Okay? So my whole deal is, at the end of the day, I'm not so sure, that this Warrior culture is still intact. Okay? It may be that, because guys are fighting from buying for money and contracts and things like that, that some things were said, some egos got plucked a little bit, and guess what? They're not happy with it. And I think that's why that went down.
Well, yeah,
listen, there's always, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's always been money issues in every locker room ever. There were money issues in Chicago with the Bulls. Scottie Pippen always thought he got hosed.
He did get royally hosed.
Okay, well, the point is, that's always a backdrop. The Warriors do have a culture, though. And the culture is set by that group of veterans. And it's been set by that group of veterans because with the exception of the 1 year that Iguodala left to go to Miami, he's been very much a part of that. With Curry, with Thompson, with Green, with a series of other veterans who get it. And that thing's still been passed down. I think what you're seeing here is the danger of the two-track team system. It's that when you have that many young guys and they are ready to emerge in their minds, they want to know when their time's coming because they're not really that much used to waiting. I don't know how much to put weight on this, but Stephen A. Smith talking about Jonathan Kuminga. He didn't make that up out of nowhere just because. Why would he make up something about Jonathan Kuminga? He'd rather spend another 15 minutes yammering on about the Dallas Cowboys. Somebody was whispering in his ear about that. So I think you might have a situation where the young guys are wondering, when is it going to be our time? And I think Green may have simply brought this to the fore to where other people now can see it. And it's up to Curry, and to a lesser extent Myers, to work their magic to maintain the culture that has been there for 8 years. So I get where he says that Kerr's lying, but I don't think he's lying about Jordan Poole being blameless. But I do think he's making it clear that we've got a structural issue that we haven't had before. And the thing he wants to keep internally is how they're going to deal with that. It's not a huge fault that's going to ruin this team unless everybody abdicates responsibility. But I think you now have 4 young guys on a team that hasn't had 4 young guys since the original 4 young guys almost a decade ago.
Bob Myers talked about that today at his press conference, the generational butting of heads.
I think you see it. I'd be lying if I said we don't have some of that, but it's actually healthy. Like the veterans crush the young guys all the time in scrimmages. Young guys, they need that. It's a tough love type thing. Obviously not yesterday, you don't want that, but the NBA is rough. It's hard. It's hard to win. And so we have some of the best winners in our veterans, like no doubt. Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andre, show me people that have figured out how to win better. And winning is tough and it's hard. And if their job is to teach the young guys what it takes, then great. They're doing my job. Sometimes, yeah. It's a little bit of big brother, little brother stuff, where you gotta overcome them. But our young guys are up to the challenge and they're not backing down and they're up for it. But there's a reason why the core has won at the level they have and the young guys haven't. So they got to learn that. But 99% of the time, that's healthy and you like it. But sometimes it tips over.
Bob Myers had quite a really interesting press conference today, and we're going to replay it for you as soon as we dip into our 5 o'clock hour. So stick around for the entirety of what Bob Myers had to say. If anything, he just sounded so exasperated. Here we are before the year even starts, and I'm dealing with yet another issue that Draymond Green's action caused. And I do believe that, it's Bob Myers' job to sit around and evaluate what does this player mean, What does he mean to us? What has he meant to us? What is he going to mean going forward? Is he correcting areas we have asked him to correct? And I think that Draymond has said in his action of throwing a punch at Jordan Poole that I really don't hear you. I haven't heard you. Or I did hear you and it kind of went in one ear and out the other. There is an element of healthy competition, and punches have been thrown in basketball practice on very successful teams in the past, but I think Draymond's position as you have no options other than me to be Draymond Green, to have a successful year, are now being presented as, well, actually, Draymond, we do. And I think Draymond has got a huge case of self-confidence that is rational and irrational all at the same time. And I also think that he sees his mortality and his vulnerabilities and his role in the overall NBA chamber is diminishing. I think he's a little desperate to hold on to something that he might not have a good grasp on anymore, and this is maybe a sign of the kink in the armor that isn't just bulletproof Draymond. I think maybe for the first time he feels a little threatened, and that can bring someone who is bad at governing their emotions to even a worse place governing their own emotions.
Yeah, ultimately, what we're going to eventually hear from the Warriors is that it was in a moment and that everything's fine. And they're probably right, because I think you will have guys like Curry and Thompson seeing to it that it becomes all right. Because I don't think Draymond Green is the sort of guy who is going to hold a grudge in the face of Stephen Curry telling him not to. And I think the same is true.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate self-destruction?
Well, it would be, but I believe he's way too smart for that. I think he has too much respect for Curry for that.
He should.
I mean, Curry is the guy who, he's everybody's get out of jail free card, but he's never liked to overtly play it. Now he's got to start being a more visible guy for the youngins. You say, look, I'm who you're looking at now. And I think, that works, that works fine for Steve Kerr. I think it means that Bob Myers might have to take a more active role in making sure that the young guys are feeling okay with life. Because, again, the third year is the time when you start thinking, it's my time now. I'm running out of time here to make my name. And I think Poole, because of the injuries to Thompson and then to Curry, he got probably more minutes than they planned on giving him, and he made the most of them. Now he's going, well, wait a minute. Now everybody's healthy. Now I might not get as many minutes. I'm not pleased about that.
If I were him, if I were his agent, I would just say, look, I don't think you're going to have to worry about your minutes vanishing, because the Warriors are the most minute-conscious team in the NBA, with one of the oldest guys in the league now, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, who, no matter how much he's chomping at the bit to get back to 35 minutes a night and play all 82 games, the law of torn Achilles coming off of ACLs means that doesn't happen, Klay.
But being told that doesn't mean you're willing to listen to it. And that's the part that's on Jordan Poole. And that's why I think when the Warriors do make their offer to him, on the assumption that they do, that he's going to say, I want to see what else is out there. If not just for tactical reasons to hold their feet to the fire a bit, but for real reasons. Because he might not want to wait another 2 years to be able to say, I'm the guy they all look to. Because I think most players want to be that. I mean, Draymond Green was biting a hole in his lip the second year that he was watching David Lee get the most minutes. Curry was biting a hole in his lip, waiting for Monte Ellis to disappear. But it is standard.
He lost minutes to AC Law.
Yeah, I mean, it is standard for most players who are not of a LeBron James caliber to have to wait their turn. And they have to gain their turn by showing that they can do the things on a consistent basis that the coach wants them to do. And on this team, part of that is playing very mindful defense, which is the one thing I don't think Jordan Poole has mastered yet. So part of his future is determined not just by him saying, I want to see what the market holds. It's by him showing that he's worth more minutes by being reliable at times when the Warriors need more defense than offense. I mean, it's just because he's not going to shoot his way out of this. He's going to have to become a more complete player. And I presume he knows it, but it's a matter of applying it.
888-957-9570 from our YouTube chat. City Lock says, I just don't get questioning the morality of the enforcer. If you're the enforcer, it means you punch guys on other teams. You shouldn't be an enforcer on your own team, in your own practice. I understand that emotions bubble up, but you just cannot be throwing fists at your teammates. What if you injure your teammate? I don't know how the punch was. Open hand slap, like a rabbit punch, got him more on the top of his head than a straight up like textbook jab or hook or anything like that, or an uppercut. What if what if Draymond Green had fractured the orbital bone in Jordan Poole's face and he's going to miss the first 3 months of the season? That's why you can't have guys throwing punches in practice. I got no problem with physical. I got no problem at all with a beating. Sometimes keeps you honest if you're out of line. But when we hear that Jordan Poole's really not out of line here, this is all kind of just, trash talk happens. And Draymond Green, who's among the biggest trash talkers there is, should understand that. As a matter of fact, Bob Myers basically said that this wasn't an issue that felt like it was about to be an issue until Draymond turned it into an actual issue by throwing a punch. Like two players barking at each other is called basketball. Here's Bob Myers.
I didn't hear that it was anything that hadn't been going on, like our team's better than yours and stop calling those fouls, like a normal kind of argument in a scrimmage. Like I didn't hear anything different than that, and no one told me anything different than that. And that question was asked, was this something, beyond the line that was said? And the answer I had was no, it was not anything different than a normal bickering in a scrimmage, is what I was told. I didn't hear it. I wasn't sitting close enough to hear it, but I've heard them argue. I've heard other players argue a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I've been told it wasn't any different than that.
He needs to sit closer.
Well, I mean, his office is in a perch right over the practice facility. He's actually going to have to stand on the court to get closer.
Well, then that's what he's got to do. He's got a cell phone. He's got internet access.
This was Bob Myers' fault.
I understand.
All of it.
Yep.
Bob, be better.
Yeah. He's been a disappointment.
Duke.
I'd suspend him.
Duke is in the city of San Francisco. Hello, Duke.
King of the sports, Mike, Damon, Bruce, and the legend. That is Ray Ratto. What's up, fellas? Great subject y'all touching on, man. Hey, D. Bruce. Hey, Ratto, be cool, Ratto. People getting smacked around a lot these days, so you better stay in your lane.
That's why I stay away from people. You can't be hit if you're not around anybody.
There you go, Ray. I like the way you think, brother. You know I love you, Ray, man. You number one in my book always. I love y'all, man. This subject right here that we're talking about, though, like you guys just alluded to, first things first, you never punch a teammate. I mean, it's all right to get in the scuffs with them and do this. I played on a lot of teams. I played CYO basketball, played high school basketball, never really played college, though I thought I did have the talent to, but what you don't do is, you get in scuffs, but you don't fight with your teammates. Dre done got chance after chance after chance with nothing happening to him. So we know as far as like a game suspension or something like that, that's fine. But JP3 probably got tired of being, treated like a child. We watched the way Dre talked to these guys on the bench sometime, and he probably got tired of it, man. It's like, he probably got in his face like, man, you're not going to talk to me like I'm one of your children. Now, we love Draymond. When Draymond is cheering for this team, he's one of the best cheerleaders that we have. No doubt. Everybody in the Bay loves Dre. But you got this new group of young players, and they trying to stand up for what they believe in, but they don't know. Just like Ray said, you have to play your part, play your role, but that does not give you the reason to put your hands on somebody. Like Tim Kawakami alluded to, he said in that KD incident, well, this been years later. Well, this is still going on right now. So just like you just said, D. Boozer, if this still going on, then you haven't learned anything. You know what I mean? So, it's a learning process. We all got to grow, but Dre as a person, that's on him to grow as a human being and a person. And, his athletic ability is one thing, but being on the court and beating up your teammates and having bad attitude, that's something else, man. So I love y'all, man. Y'all have a beautiful week.
Duke, you do the exact same, and I'll give you advice that you give us. Put it in the air. Thank you very much. Duke in the city, one of our favorites. Hey, we have an awful lot still to get into. We have Bob Myers' press conference from today in its entirety, and we're going to play that for you right after we take a few more of your calls as we get into our 5 o'clock hour. We know what the topic is. We know what it is we're talking about. And as we discuss this from every conceivable angle, and it's been pile on Draymond Green, let me just offer this. He did apparently come into practice today. He said the right things. He apologized correctly, and hopefully that carried some weight, and it meant something to a team that almost to a man wears big boy pants. If you got enough guys wearing big boy pants, you get through an issue like this. And if you don't have enough guys wearing big boy pants, then maybe your team and your culture is in trouble. I do think that the Warriors are built to survive this moment, and I know a lot of you believe that too. More coming up here. Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game, brought to you by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises. The Bob Myers entire press conference, not too far away.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of California Deluxe Windows. Ever notice? When your neighbors get new windows, there is a large black eye of broken stucco, uneven plaster, and even mismatched paint. At California Deluxe Windows, we never leave a ring around the window. Why? Because we are one of the only companies in California who custom crafts every window and door to your home's exact measurements. Almost everyone else on the radio is a distributor. They grab a window from a warehouse, break open your walls, shove it in, and patch things up. At California Deluxe Windows, we take pride in our work. Our installation technique is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Call now, and for a limited time, you get 30% off your entire order and 24 months of interest-free financing. 800-874-3600. 800-874-3600. That's 800-874-3600. California Deluxe Windows. Windows engineered for life.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 774518.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
If you're a professional builder or designer, here's some good news from Golden State Lumber. Their relationships with Capital Lumber, Cal Cascade, Humboldt Sawmill, and others have led to an increase in lumber inventory. Golden State strives to deliver most materials the next day, if not the same day. Be sure to download the Golden State app, which provides access to hundreds of resources. Find it at goldenstatelumber.com. For 3 generations, Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef.
just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. Tender steaks, awesome burgers, and California classics like tri-tip roast. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Come on, it's time to get out and grill. Harris Ranch, we do beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the peace of mind that comes with Security Edge, helping to protect all your connected devices, and the most reliable 5G mobile network. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security. Together for just $69.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Or find out how to get up to a $650 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Requires enrollment in EcoBill and AutoPay. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Comcast Business Mobile utilizes the network with the most RootMetrics 5G data reliability wins in 1H 2022. Results may vary, not an endorsement.
Alice at 97.3 is celebrating the return of Alice in Winterland. Friday, December 2nd at the SAP Center in San Jose. Starring John Mayer, One Republic.
See you at Alice in Winterland.
Matt Nathanson. Plus more to be added. Tickets on sale tomorrow, October 7th, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster. Get everything Alice in Winterland at radioalice.com.
This Hispanic Heritage Month, the Multicultural Institute is celebrating 31 years in the community. That's 31 years of experience coming together to support and uplift each other. The Multicultural Institute connects day laborers and domestic workers with employers to ensure dignity while also providing comprehensive year-round services for the Bay Area's low-income Latinx community. To hire a day laborer or learn more about the Multicultural Institute, visit their website at mionline.org. That's mionline.org.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
Download that Odyssey podcast or the app, and you get everything that is a podcast, every conversation, every interview, all hosts, all shows. It's all right there. Somebody from the 860 says, it's actually refreshing to tune on the radio and not hear any talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. So thank you, Draymond, in a weird way. Jeremy in Oakland. Thank you for listening, Jeremy. Really appreciate it. Somebody said, Steve Kerr and Michael Jordan threw punches during a scrimmage. They survived. It would be interesting to hear Steve's opinion on all that. Well, he offered it today.
Well, he had a documentary about that, so just watch The Last Dance.
Yeah, wasn't really about to talk about it, but the thing that Steve Kerr, I do believe, said that meant the most of all that was said today is that when it came time to circle the wagons around this topic, the Warriors clearly circled the wagons, not around like, hey, we're a great team and we're going to be fine together. No, Steve Kerr basically said everything you might have heard about how Jordan Poole maybe deserved what happened to him today is total nonsense.
Jordan has been fantastic throughout camp. There was a report that I was made aware of last night. Someone put out there that that Jordan had an attitude in camp. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's been fantastic. So disappointing to see misinformation out there, but I wanted to make sure I set the record straight on that. Everything else we will handle internally, and we'll go from there.
And when it comes to Draymond returning to the mix?
Didn't practice today. I won't be here tomorrow, and I expect him to return on Saturday and get back at it.
Bob Myers and his exasperated press conference. We're going to share that with you here in just a moment. Ray, we were asked here on the Comcast Business text line, how is this any different than Ayuk versus Fred Warner? One word immediately comes to mind: helmets.
Well, another thing comes immediately to mind. There is a culture in the National Football League where practices, particularly strenuous ones where guys are running into each other, will fly off the handle. And the trick is to break those up quickly, because just guys get heated about that. This was more verbal, and it's in a sport that does not have a rich culture of guys beating on their teammates. So it is kind of different. And when you add the other dynamics and the potential damage that could result from this, not in terms of injury, but in terms of team unity, it becomes a matter important enough for the Warriors to sort of break traditional radio silence and deal with it in a pretty extensive press conference that was unscheduled as of last night.
And even as you bring up correctly the difference in cultures, the 49ers went way out of their way to let everyone know that, like, hey, that's boys being boys on an NFL practice field, and we're all teammates, and we're all cool. We heard from Fred Warner, we heard from Ayuk. They said, this has got nothing to do with me versus him. This is football practice, and we're good. And they got that out quickly. And that's what I guess the Warriors tried to do today at this press conference. But this wasn't an element of we're all good. The element today was Jordan Poole is fine and Draymond was out of line. Srooney? I hope I got that somewhat close from San Carlos here on 95.7 The Game.
You got it mostly right. Hey, guys, it's Srini.
Srini, how are you?
Taking my call. I'm good, sir. Really nice segment. Just a couple of things I wanted to kind of bring up. One is, it is indisputable what the value of Draymond is to Warriors, what his value is specifically to Curry, and what his value is to the identity of the team that won all these championships and went into all these finals. So that's basically just indisputable. So it really comes down to, like, can you get a guy who has the responsibility of bringing that edge to the team, dial it up and dial it down on demand? And I completely do not, condone putting a fist on someone. That is absolutely unacceptable. But I do wonder, he probably does a ton of good in terms of coaching his teammates, especially the younger ones, during the plays, during practice, none of which we hear extensive commentary about. Right. And then the second thing is, there obviously was that incident between kind of Kerr and Jordan, and we talk about it in retrospect, but today's amplified news system brings everything to light right away. And there's positives with that, but it also has a level of maybe putting spotlight in an exaggerated way in certain areas, which may not be balanced.
Look, one of the great things, and thank you for the call, one of the great things Steve Kerr ever said in our weekly interviews with him was when you wanted to get away from the news story when he was playing, all you had to do was put the Chicago Sun-Times down and you were away from the media. There is no getting away from the media anymore.
The other thing is the caller makes a valid point in that it's hard to be on the edge and then to be able to dial it down at will. But for the most part, Draymond Green has been able to do that. It's a very tough way to be an athlete, is to be sort of not the instigator, but kind of the staff nag, because every once in a while you will find out how close to the line you get, and every once in a while you'll bump up against it. So it's an extraordinarily difficult ask, but it's a job that he was willing to take on. And if you accept the fact, but it's hard to do that, that doesn't mean that you don't call the guy in when he doesn't do the hard thing. Because you can't let that go. You can't look the other way and go, that's just Draymond being Draymond. No, it's not. I mean, that's beneath Draymond. As much as it is beneath Jordan Poole as well, that's beneath Draymond, and you got to call him on it. And you have to call him on it in a way that he hears, and that he understands, and that he modifies. He may slip again. It may be in his nature, but it's one of those things that when he does slip up, you have to help him up and then give him a kick in the arse.
You can't lead like this. You shouldn't lead like this. Leading like this doesn't create the results that we're after. And I'm sure that is a big part of the message being sent to Draymond. Real quick, one more call, and then we're right to Bob Myers. This is Gabriel in Napa. Hello, Gabriel.
What a difference a day makes, huh, fellas? Yesterday we're talking about Bobby Wagner lighting up a ridiculous fan, and today we're talking about Draymond socking his friend in the face.
And to me, it should be bear mace for everybody, a full can of mace for everyone. I always recommend that.
Everybody says there's no winners in this. You know who the winner is? 95.7 the game.
I think you might be right there.
Ray, I think absolutely. You guys are number one in the market, and Ray doesn't have to do any homework. Inside baseball. The big picture is they just said it. They defended Poole. Draymond, for all he's done, he's an all-time great Warrior, but they leave, right? He is done, because the next wave has to replace the wave that we have now. And as much as Steph Curry is the man, which we all believe, the all-time greatest, he doesn't get to decide. He will get cashed out. Steph Curry, mark my words, will be an owner, just like Buster Posey, down the road. But he doesn't get to decide. What happens if they ship Draymond? Is Steph going to play half the games? Is he going to pout? Heck no. So this is just Draymond looking for a way. He knows what's coming. He knows what's coming, and he's instigating so he can get out of here with some pride, like they didn't respect me. The big picture is, who cares? The Warriors have to move on. I want to see Kuminga on the court for 25 minutes, just like Draymond was in year 3 of his contract. And if that doesn't happen, Ray, I'll bring you a bottle of 2009 Continuum.
You do that anyway.
Gabriel, thank you. What inside knowledge you have?
I do plenty of homework, you wise ass. For starters, Draymond Green has been assigned to nothing. He's still here, and he may be here next year. This is not a fait accompli by any means, because nobody knows whether Jordan Poole wants to stay. And nobody knows whether Joe Lacob is going to remain firm on his, I can't keep paying luxury tax. I mean, what if they win again? I mean, does he sort of get that smell in his nose again, go, I don't care what it takes.
Run it back.
Fire in the hole. Nobody knows what's going to happen 9 months from now. So the assumption that any decision has been made is not just foolish. It's just flat-assed wrong. There's too much stuff that's going to happen between now, and opening night for starters. I mean, that because the season opens the night after the Poole extension has to be offered, right?
Yeah.
So, nobody knows anything, period. Keep that in mind. Secondly, Draymond, the idea that change is inevitable does not mean that change is immediate. Stephen Curry isn't going anywhere. And it's not a matter of they have to get rid of Draymond and then he's going to pout. He's not going to pout. That's obvious. But they also don't have to get rid of Draymond. And as far as this is some sort of master plan by Draymond to leave with dignity, nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah, I'm not subscribing to that element.
Because this only damages his marketability if that was the idea. which it wasn't.
Right. If you wanted to be on another team, how can you show up as, hey, I'm here to be one of your, veteran leaders, and I'm also a guy who might punch rookies and first, second, third year players. Like that doesn't, there's no way the Orlando Magic are thinking this is what Paolo Banchero needs to mentor him. This is, it's just not happening.
No, this was a mistake. It's a mistake that must be dealt with, and if you prefer the word punished, but this was not a plan of Draymond Green's. I'm irritated by the potential that I may not get another contract.
Draymond didn't go to practice thinking, I'm punching Jordan Poole, and that's going to be good for my exit strategy today.
Listen, Draymond Green, when he apologizes to the team, that's already like a fat slice of humble pie that he's eating, because he doesn't like to apologize about very much. But when he's in the wrong, he will, because he is an out front guy there. And so he knows that this was a screw up, and we know it wasn't a planned screw up. So I think any conclusions based on either of those assumptions is not only flawed, but that's where your bear mace comes in.
The impromptu press conference that was called at Chase Center today, again, featured Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. But it was Bob Myers who opened the proceedings, and he did so with like an opening statement before he even went to the floor for questions. Here is Bob Myers from earlier today.
Before questions, I'll talk for a second here. As you know, yesterday, as reported, there was an altercation. The people that were reported to be in it, that's accurate. Everybody's fine. Jordan practiced today, so Draymond didn't. Look, it's the NBA, it's professional sports. These things happen. Nobody likes it. We don't condone it, but it happened. Draymond apologized to the team this morning. Jordan was there in the room. I was there in the room, the team, the coaches, players. And we heard that. As far as any suspension, punishment, fine, we're going to handle that internally. And understand you might have questions on that, but that's going to be an internal process. As far as some of the reports, and I commend all of you for doing your job well, it didn't take long for this to get out. But some of it, I would say from my vantage point, I don't feel, and more importantly, you should ask the players that you talk to, I don't think this was related to who's getting paid and who isn't. I don't sense that. Make your own conclusions. Probably more important what players think on that than what I think, but I don't see it. I've actually seen a really good group. I've really seen for people that were in Japan with us. Actually, it's one of the best vibes that we've had in my 12 years here, as far as camp and health and mental health, and camaraderie. But it's unfortunate, and not going to deny it. And it'll take some time to move through, but we'll move through it and move forward. And I'm confident that we will. We've got a good team. We've got good leadership. We've got some guys that have been here a long time, and we haven't. This isn't our first, thing that's happened. First sense of adversity. We've been through some of this before, so don't like going through it. But it's part of the NBA and it's part of sports, and it's kind of where it is. I'll try to answer some of your questions. I probably won't give you everything, but I'll do my best.
What's your biggest concern when you found out what happened? What was the first thoughts you had about how this might impact the roster and the guys, the chemistry?
First, like anything, Monty, you want to make sure everybody's okay. That's the number one thing. And after that, nobody likes these things. So how do you move forward? There's a process to these things. There's apologies. There's time. This is where you hope you have some equity in your team. But the very, very first thing is everybody okay? And as reported, Jordan did finish practice, which is a really good sign. And he didn't do it damaged. He did it like he normally would. So that'd be the first thing, Monty. And then after that, just got to heal. And that's really up to the players and their leadership. And I think we're good in that area. We'll get there. But yesterday was something we don't, you wish doesn't happen, but sometimes it does.
Bob, you've been through this multiple times. Does that experience make this, I guess, easier to deal with, for lack of a term, or does it make you kind of tired of having to deal with this?
Probably, you don't want to go through anything, Marcus. I mean, nobody wants to go through these things, but in a sense, people throw around the word family, but this group's been together a long time, which means you've been through a lot, like any of your relationships. So I actually think it helps to have some of the same people in the room. Even a guy like Iguodala, who was here, then left and came back. There's a lot of real relationships on this team that can withstand adversity. If you got a group of new guys, it's harder to trust each other than it is when you've been through stuff. And if you're in the NBA or anything in life and you're together a long time in an emotional place that we live in here, in a competitive place, things are going to happen that you'd like not to. But if you've been through it and then come out of it, more importantly, I think it puts you in a better place to do it again.
Bob, you said you don't think it had anything to do with contractual situations, but you are looking at two players, as you said, who are, at least in some ways, possibly getting contract extensions. Does this affect the way you would approach whether you're going to give Draymond or agree with deal with Draymond or Jordan? Obviously, the deadline with Jordan is coming up. And by the way, have you talked to his representatives lately? And where are those?
Yeah, I'm not going to do the blow-by-blow negotiation. We've talked to them. We're going to keep talking. So that's ongoing. I don't think, Tim, this doesn't change an approach. It doesn't change our feelings on it. I've asked the question directly to people involved on on our team, not involved. Like, do they think that? They've said no. I hope they're being honest with me. I can only answer that I don't see it. As an agent, I saw it. Around here, prior to this, I haven't seen, I don't know if Curry does such a good job of setting the tone, maybe by the fact that he never complained about his first deal and that story's been told and is true. He just sets a tone of you have to act a certain way, and it helps. And Steve helps do that. So I don't see it, Tim. I can't get into people's minds, but you all will talk to the players. That answer will come out. I don't see that, and I don't feel it. It doesn't change. We're not going to pivot on our approach to our contract discussions. And the reason why we're not going to is I think we're going to be past this. I don't think this stays for the rest of the season. We'll move on. There's been a variety of things we've had to overcome, and we have. And I think we'll overcome this. So that's why it's not going to, I don't think, bleed into the contract stuff.
I just kind of want to get specifics on this morning. Draymond was in the facility, apologized in person to the team.
Yes.
And he didn't practice.
No.
I assume that was at least part of the disciplinary action.
Yeah, I mean, space is good. And Steve's going to speak to you as well. But I'm not going to get too much into more than he was here. He apologized and he didn't practice.
Did he leave right after?
Yeah, he went home.
Okay. Do you expect, maybe this is more Steve, but do you expect him to practice tomorrow?
Ask Steve. I know the answer to that, but I'll let Steve do that one.
Bob, we've talked a lot about how Draymond's fire and passion, it is a good attribute for this team to have. Clay on Media Day said, if you play for the Warriors, you're going to get yelled at by Draymond. It's a bylaw by now. But does it ever come to a point where it becomes not good and can become toxic? I know you say you guys will work past this. You guys have in the past, but does it ever become a concern of, okay, these things have kind of happened more than once and there is a line somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, he has, right, he'll tell you he's been over that line, you know it, but he always comes back. And he's a unique guy. I mean, without him, we don't win. And I want to win. Our ownership wants to win. Our players want to win. Our players want him on the team. And if you play, that's the most important thing. Nobody's saying we don't want him around, we don't want him on the team. They know what he does, they know what he needs. But yesterday wasn't a good moment. It's bottom line, it wasn't. There's people in life that make mistakes and don't apologize or don't earn your trust back. He always does that. I don't think he likes putting himself in these spots. He's in one, and I think he'll find a way to earn the respect of his teammates and Jordan back, but that's the work he has to do.
You guys did put together this young and veteran two-timeline thing, whatever you like to call that two-timeline. Is there's some generation. I mean, I'm not even that it's that bad, but is there some generational friction here that's almost even normal? But do you see that sometimes even like first unit versus second unit? And at some point you have to expect some clashing between the generations?
I think you see it. I'd be lying if I said we don't have some of that, but it's actually healthy. Like the veterans crush the young guys all the time in scrimmages. I mean, the young guys, they need that. You know, it's a tough love type thing. Obviously not yesterday. You don't want that, but the NBA is rough. It's hard. It's hard to win. And so we have some of the best winners the game has ever seen in our veterans. Like, no doubt. Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andre, like, show me people that have figured out how to win better. And winning is tough and it's hard. And if their job is to teach the young guys what it takes, then great. They're doing my job. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of big brother, little brother stuff, like where you gotta overcome them. But our young guys are up to the challenge and they're not backing down and they're up for it. But there's a reason why the core has won at the level they have and the young guys haven't. So they got to learn that. But it's 99% of the time, Tim, that's healthy. And you like it. But, you know, sometimes it tips over.
Considering you have these young guys, I don't know if in the past you've had this many young guys. I'm pretty sure you didn't. Are there any concerns about how they might experience this? And is that on Steve and the coaching staff to kind of coach them through, like, maybe even, you know, this is not how we do things?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I keep using this guy's name, but like when he's not here, my job's gonna be a lot harder. Is Curry? Like, I walked him today. I'm like, you ready to do some leading? He goes, you guys got to pay me some more money. I said, we're paying you as much as we can. It's him, man. Like, you can't. He holds that line in such an easy manner. And our young guys, Draymond is absolutely a leader on this team, no doubt. But the young guys are all good people, all understand, like, what happened yesterday happens. I mean, if they stay in our organization, if they go other places, a lot of you have covered other teams. Doesn't mean what happened yesterday is right, but it happens. And it's really, what do you do next? What do you do after it happens? It happens in probably, I don't know, since I've been here, we've had stuff happen. But we've overcome it. So the young guys, I think this is where, again, it doesn't matter what I say. I don't play. So it's really Andre walking up to the young guy. One young guy said, does this happen a lot? You know, like, no, this isn't normal. So some people, they don't know. It's brand new. But that's where the players, that's why you keep guys like Looney, who's young, but established as a leader. That's Andre. That's even Clay in some instances. That's Steph. And a lot of times it's Draymond that mentor these guys. And hopefully these young guys will do that for the next generation of people. That's professional sports. The young guys learn from the old guys. And I think they'll be fine learning from this. And I watched them today for a while. I don't see any big issues propping up at all. I don't feel that way.
Bob, I know you don't want to get into the discipline. If Draymond doesn't play, we would obviously see that. So first thing, do you anticipate him missing any games?
I don't think so at this point.
Okay.
You would see it.
Yes. I figured the cat's going to be out of the bag at some point. I wonder, I know it's fresh, but with Jordan in particular, I mean, just from a life standpoint, you get socked by another human being, you know, that's going to leave a mark. Do you have any sense from Jordan about his ability to go forward with Draymond as a teammate and what sort of lasting impact, if any, might be here?
Yeah, look, he'll speak soon, I suppose. Draymond will speak. What he says is more important than what I say. That's up to him. But knowing Jordan like I do, he's a pretty resilient guy, and he'll get through it. But I can't I'm not going to say how he feels, how he should feel. I'm not going to say, only I would know if it happened to me. But it's, you know, Steve and I talked about when he got hit, and you figure it out, you hang on to it for the amount of time you need to, and you move on. But that's a good question to ask him. He'll answer it. But I have confidence that it won't erode the fabric of our team. I guess that's what I could say about it.
You kind of chatted about this earlier, Bob. Obviously, we know sports are competitive. People get in fights. It's not what anyone wants, but it happens. We all know that. Is the attitude of the team, is it awkward right now, or do they look at it just as that, as sometimes these things happen and we're moving past it? Or do you think it might take a little bit to kind of move past this? Is there awkwardness in the room, I guess?
I think it's less awkward than you think. Most of you, maybe you don't think it is. I don't know what you think, but it's not bad. Like if you walked into, I guess if you were all in practice today, I don't think you would have seen some lingering awkwardness. I don't think you would have seen it. I didn't see it and I didn't feel it. But I've been on teams where people have fought. I've been in gyms where there's been fighting. No one likes that. But every team has moved past it. I've never seen it ruin a team. Because you accept when you play a sport, and I'm not saying this is good. When things are that competitive as they are in professional sports, there's a certain level of like things might go past a line. And you thank everyone that nobody got really hurt. So you learn from that. The worst things are like when somebody gets really hurt by a punch or something like that. You have to learn. We have to learn. That's not okay. It's not like you get away with it, but it's almost like you got lucky nobody got hurt.
For us, we'll obviously kind of reference back to the Draymond situation a few years ago. And part of that was, they were speaking about the situation. What was said was very important in that situation. I don't know, what's your perspective on like what was said that led up to the incident? Did that have to do with contract stuff, or was that just normal trash talk on a basketball?
I think some stuff got reported. I didn't hear that it was anything that hadn't been going on, like our team's better than yours and stop calling those fouls, like a normal kind of argument in a scrimmage. Like I didn't hear anything different than that. And no one told me anything different than that. And that question was asked, was this something, beyond the line that was said? And the answer I heard was no, it was not anything different than a normal bickering in a scrimmage is what I was told. I didn't hear it. I wasn't sitting close enough to hear it, but I've heard them argue. I've heard other players argue a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I've been told it wasn't any different than that.
But because you've been through this with Draymond, how would you measure or articulate your level of disappointment with this happening at this time with this team so early before the season even starts?
Well, Draymond is one of my favorite players. I told him that, but I just said, you're better than this. Like, don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. Don't put yourself in this position. Still love the person. Don't love what he did, but still love the guy. He's complicated. I mean, but he is a good person. He is a good person. He is. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of things he's done. Yesterday wasn't one of them. So you gotta, it's really, in this job that I'm in, these are men. He knows what he needs to do, and he's got to make amends, and he started with that this morning. So I'm confident he'll do that.
Bob Myers, earlier today from Chase Center at a press conference that no one really wanted to call, but they thought that something serious enough happened to where they needed to be out in front of it with the three biggest guns they had to fire to get out in front of it. Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and Steph Curry. Someone from the 415, Ray, says, couldn't we all be looking at this a little too deeply? And this is really not that much more than Michigan State versus Michigan and the boil over. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to dismiss this as a little bit of that, but the press conference is the dead giveaway. That's the tip, that the Warriors think that this is a lot more than boys will be boys and we'll all get over it. And let me just say this too. How lucky is this franchise to have Bob Myers? I know that people out there think that Bob, might not have done this during free agency or might have made that wrong draft pick. This is the man you want setting the tone for your team. Full stop. Full stop. They're very lucky that his hand is on some of the strings that will pull this team through this issue.
He does face very well. And that's what this was, face. Because I think, and I don't know this, I'm just guessing, but I think Kerr would have sort of stiff upper lifted and just said, we're not doing a presser over this. We'll just tell them we're going to handle it internally, put out a release. He would have done it, and he did do it. But I think his first instinct would be, that's an in-house thing, and we'll deal with it. I think Myers is the guy who, as much as anybody, is the architect of what the Warriors look like to the outside world. And I think if there was even a debate about whether they should do a presser on this, Myers probably was the one who insisted. Now we're going to get ahead of this, and we're going to do it our way. So I think you're right. I mean, because once it was out, it could not be out, and the speculation about who was at fault and who did what, that always runs ahead. I mean, the longer, the rule of thumb has always been, the longer you wait to address a problem, the worse you make it. And to their credit, the Warriors tend not to wait very long because they're good at this presser thing. That said, they spent all last night and a fair amount of this morning figuring out how they were going to guide this.
I think another element to all of this that probably rubs the team the wrong way the most, because they know that they've got the right guys in the room to get beyond this. And I really do believe that Jordan Poole has got so much more of a stiff upper lip than a guy like Kevin Durant had, that actually punching Jordan Poole will mean less to that relationship than just calling Kevin Durant a name meant to that relationship. So that's the respect that I got for Poole in this. I think one of the things that does chap Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and Steph Curry is that it just opens up the NBA to point at the Warriors and actually do this. This is a league full of clown shows. Warriors pride themselves on not being a clown show. How the Knicks would have handled this, how the Wizards might have handled this, how the lesser among the NBA franchises might have handled this is one thing. I guess the Warriors deserve some credit for handling this the right way. I was even thinking, why call a press conference? Why not just chalk this up to that's sports? But it obviously meant enough to them to mind the shop on this one. Real quick, we got Kathy in Piedmont. You're on 95.7 The Game, Kathy. Hello.
Hi. You know, the talk about this happens in sports, we don't like it, but we accept it. That's what Myers said. Excuse me, this is not sports. This is before the season has even started. To chalk this up to competition, to me, sounds very false and it just doesn't ring true. The fact that this happens in a practice before the season has begun suggests to me that something has been brewing. And it suggests to me that Draymond is emotionally in trouble in some way. And somebody's got to tell this guy, you need anger management classes and you need therapy because you are not functioning in a way that's in your best interest or the team's best interest. And I'm sorry, this is practice before the season has begun.
But you play like you practice, and intensity is part of Draymond's game. And I'm not justifying it, Kathy. An awful lot of what you said lands completely correctly. There's no doubt. But this is someone, look, the last team in the world that should go about the business of removing the aggressivo from Draymond Green is the Golden State Warriors. They know that it serves them well. But at times, Draymond can bite the hand that feeds him. It happens. This is part of the Draymond experience. You signed up for it, you get the whole thing.
But here's the other thing. Trash talking is competition too. And so when they're referring to that, I think they're referring to all of it. Because it's not just practicing hard. Everybody practices hard. When you throw in that additional element, you can ratchet something up pretty quickly. So, and I'm not saying that they're going to suddenly ban trash talking. That's
right.
Preposterously naive. But that's all part of the mix too, because that seems to be the thing that triggered this. Draymond Green is not suddenly going to become a wallflower. He's not going to stop calling out screens. Jordan Poole is, going to keep leading with his face. That's who they are. That's why they signed them. That's why they like them. So it's simply a matter of it's a thing that can go wrong, and when it goes wrong, you have to fix it.
And even though this does feel like a very unique issue, there's really nothing unique about this. And Bob Myers will tell you he's been at practices where guys get hit. I think everybody in sports will tell you that they've been at a practice where a guy got hit, no matter what the sports were. I mean, these are the most competitive guys in the world, and sometimes when you're in that much of a fire of competition, you lose self-control. It just keeps on happening over and over again to the point where, like Draymond, it's officially time to like, enough is enough, dude. You're a 32-year-old man, and you need to know better than the young pup who doesn't start. You know, if the young pup is barking, you as the established dog in the room, you don't need to bark back that severely. When we come on back, one more segment. Could we even get to anything else? I don't even know if we're allowed to get to anything else, but I can tell you we do have NFL Week 5 starting tonight. A couple of things to keep an eye on. And, oh, by the way, Major League Baseball's postseason starts tomorrow, so at least we got that all day happening as well. Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game. What a day it's been.
This is world-renowned handicapper Chris Hodge with a special offer for tonight from TakingVegas.com. Give us a call at 888-9-WIN-NOW. That's 888-994-6669. Indianapolis and Denver is absolutely free on a recorded message. Guys, there are injury concerns on both sides. Don't make a play tonight without checking the free recorded message at 888-9-WIN-NOW, 888-994-6669. Taking Vegas went a perfect 7-0 in Week 4. Last Thursday, we won with Cincinnati. We hit our top false favorite on Sunday with Seattle, and on Monday night, we delivered with San Francisco. We have another pick tonight, absolutely free. 888-9-WIN-NOW. It is on a recorded message, 888-994-6669. Plus, you'll get a free 30-day trial run at 888-994-6669.
Dr. Trudy Fleer here with the 5G Home Recovery Podcast. Let's discuss a very real existential threat to internet speed. It's a big one. Ready? T-Mobile Home Internet. It lags. Ugh. Now, what is lag? Lag is a delay in data being transmitted across the internet. For example, you're hitting that hot drop, the parachute cuts out, you've got an unsuspecting bot in your sights, and lag! You were actually eliminated 10 seconds ago. Nobody deserves that. So stop letting T-Mobile Home Internet ruin everything and switch to Xfinity. Learn more at xfinity.com/TMOFax.
Get an amazing value on Xfinity Internet with unlimited data included. Switch for $55 a month for 2 full years with no annual contract required and no equipment fees for 24 months. Go to xfinity.com/TMOFax, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 10/17/22. Restrictions apply. New fast internet and xFi Complete customers only. xFi Gateway required. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. Tender steaks, awesome burgers, and California classics like tri-tip roast. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Come on, it's time to get out and grill. Harris Ranch, we do beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
If you owe back taxes to the IRS, have unfiled returns, or are worried about an audit, the IRS is hiring 87,000 new agents to address these very issues. That means if you need to get your tax problems resolved, now is the time to get started. I'm tax attorney Robert Goldstein, and my firm specializes in helping individuals and small businesses resolve their tax problems. We work to stop IRS and state seizures. We may be able to settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar with an offer in compromise. We prepare your past due returns, even if you have no records, and represent you before the IRS and state in an audit. At the law offices of Robert Goldstein, the consultation is always free, and we have offices located throughout the Bay Area. To schedule your free consultation, call 1-888-TAX-EXIT. That's 888-TAXEXIT. 888-TAX-EXIT, and make us your last stop.
Cache Creek Casino Resort is the place for the biggest names and the very best in live entertainment. On November 5th, catch multi-Grammy Award winners Train. Then on November 12th and 13th, experience America's Game in person when Wheel of Fortune Live takes the stage. This is your time to cash in at Cache Creek Casino Resort. Find tickets and see our full lineup at cashcreek.com.
Are you seeing the telomeres here? Come here, look at the scope.
Dr. Ocasio's lab startup just discovered a gene therapy breakthrough.
The cells have already doubled.
He needs a fleet of research assistants before this breakthrough breaks them.
We need lab techs, research assistants.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Tiki Barber. When part of your offense isn't firing on all cylinders, it shows. And sometimes the only solution is to replace that part with something new. It's true on a championship team, and it's also true with cars. That's why I love eBay Motors. They have all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. That way you can get the parts you need to make your car a winner. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
The new Google Pixel 7 Pro is super, especially when it's on Verizon, the network America relies on. It's supercharged, super powered, and a super...
deal.
You know it. Now, switch to Verizon and get the Google Pixel 7 Pro on us with select trade-ins and select 5G unlimited plans.
That really is super.
Yep, there's never been a better time to switch to Verizon. $899.99 device payment purchase with new smartphone line and select 5G unlimited plans required. $200 Verizon e-gift card with ported. Less $700 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. 0% APR. Trade-in conditions and additional terms apply.
Chris Cuomo is back with a new show on a new network. Catch Cuomo weeknights on News Nation at 5 p.m. Pacific. To find News Nation on your television provider, go to newsnationnow.com/join us.
Here's what happened today on The Game. Presented by the County of Santa Clara. The morning roast from 6 to 9.
Draymond Green's important, but don't just look at Jordan Poole and think he's chopped liver.
Look, even the biggest Draymond Green supporter will admit there's times you're like, oh boy.
Willard and Dibbs from 9 to noon.
Jordan basically punched Steve Kerr in the face and everything was okay. So this does not mean that the Warriors season is immediately over.
Steiny and Guru from noon to 3.
Like, this is not much ado about nothing. And the reason it's not much ado about nothing is because the template has been placed there by Joe Lacob.
And Damon and Ratto from 3 to 6.
I wonder if Jordan Poole doesn't have that extension in front of him by Monday. Everyone knows you can't punch the $100 million man.
But the wild card is, does he want to sign it now?
Best of the Game, presented by the County of Santa Clara. Book a COVID-19 booster shot now at sccfreevax.org or call 211. Now back to Damon and Ratto, brought to you by BMW Fairfield on 95.7 The Game.
Well, I would imagine that tomorrow's show will create a little space for us to, talk about the NFL. As long as nobody gets punched at Chase Center tomorrow, Ray, we should be okay.
I'm okay with somebody getting punched at Chase Center. I just have to decide who. Maybe Slater.
Maybe Slater, who's punching the clock all over the place today. I know he was on the morning show. I'm sure he'll be on with us soon enough. And next thing you know, we'll be right in the middle of the NBA season, and this will all be an afterthought. You hope. Everyone certainly hopes. I think
people are still referring to the Durant thing, and he's been gone for 3 years.
So lingering, if you will, little?
Oh, yeah. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is forgiven.
By the way, happy birthday, Jonathan Kuminga. I'm guessing that the team trip to Chuck E. Cheese got canceled over this one. He is now a 20-year-old. Again, 364 days away from that first beer or alcoholic beverage that will ever pass his lips.
Yes. that happened 4 years ago.
Look, he is someone who's going to be challenged with keeping Andre Iguodala on the pine. What happens to his career in this season? Like, I'm fascinated by the development and growth. And, you know, the way that we ended up talking about the young guys on this team today isn't what I really planned on. But, man, Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman, rookie, Patrick Baldwin Jr., like, this should be such a fun year. And I guess that's where an awful lot of the disappointment is here, pointed at Draymond. Like, Draymond, come on, man. Like, everyone's just trying to get to the launching pad.
No, he killed the day for us. Oh, be thankful. Say you're sorry.
Draymond Green was phenomenal for Team 95-7 the game today.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that we're really care about. Warriors come and go. We must live forever. Jesus, did that just come out of my face?
Seriously, really? Look at you. What a station guy.
We should last through the end of my contract.
And by the way, he's taking a powder all next week, so you really don't care.
That's your ass.
Next week. I hope you have a nice time while you're taking
I can't imagine how.
Your powder. We want to thank Tim Kawakami for joining us today. Again, unless somebody gets punched at Chase Center between now and tomorrow, we're going to be talking some 49ers and Panthers, a guy who is the king of Charlotte Sports Talk Radio, Kyle Bailey, who has literally the kind of great radio voice that I'm uncomfortable talking to. He's that good. He joins us tomorrow. I actually did his show today. We arranged a home and home, and then we had to audible because the punch heard around the world pretty much echoed throughout all 3 hours of today's show. I mean, maybe more than anything else, this whole thing just chalks up to this.
He's a competitor.
Both Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, and they'll come out better and best friends.
Stop.
Maybe pushing it just a touch there.
Yeah. I think probably more than a touch, but they won't hate each other. They'll tactically endure.
Punches get thrown. Adults move on. Only kids carry the hard feelings. So I hope that everybody in the room's got the big boy pants ready to go. They're going to need to all be fitted for their big boy pants. And we know that many of them have already tailor-made big boy pants for them. This is the Warriors. This is not some fly-by-night, just got here, how do you stay here operation. Holding on to greatness has defined this team. So I think they'll be able to hold on to it through this moment. To end, Ray, on a little bit of a light note, I think we both agreed that the greatest headline ever comes from the New York Post. Headless body found in topless bar. It's one of the all-timers.
Yes. It's the best headline ever, including this one. This one comes close.
Do you know where I'm going here?
I do indeed know where you're going.
This comes to us from our friends down under. Here's the headline. Pig in Australia steals 18 beers from campers. Gets drunk, fights cow. I don't even know what a pig-cow fight would look like, but man, it's maybe
that's a long headline even by Australian standards.
It really is.
But and frankly, it's a disappointing headline in that you don't need to read the story at that point.
It's not sing-songy either, and yeah, I didn't even click on the headline. Like, I feel like I need to know everything I need to know, but I'm very happy that the fight's cow got in there. And maybe they buried the lead in that alone because pig drinking beers, I get it.
No, but you got to set it up. Because you go, pig fights cow after drunken binge with stolen alcohol. You just get lost in it. The rhythm is right. It's just it tells you everything you would have learned had you read the story.
Hopefully we got through a few things that you might have learned if you listened to this whole show today. We were complimented as to turning, no rock unturned. We covered this bad boy from just about all the angles.
We beat this squirrel flat.
We sure did. The car's not even going to bounce going over this thing. It's not a speed bump.
No, it's part of the paint now.
Good job today, honey.
Let's get out of here.
Thanks so much to Tim Kawakami for joining us early. Lucas, magnifico, outstanding job by you, Mark Grandy. Nobody gets punched. That's how good today's show was. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to all the calls, the texters, you YouTuber army. We appreciate it. Please do remember that sports don't build character. Is Craig coming up next? Craig, is that you coming up next for the best of? My man, Craig. Sports don't build character. Craig reveals it.
That